I'm making movies at Marvel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 53 Wonder Woman finished. 4 more. Levi looked intently. The smooth and tender skin is as tender as cream. Under the light, the crystal clear skin is rosy, like a baby, and the clearly visible waistcoat line makes people think, if this waist is twisted on his body, what a job that would be. However, Levi also found the problem. That is, on Natasha Romanoff's waist, a not so small scar runs through the front and back, printing flaws on this perfect place. What's going on here? Levi stretched out his finger, touched the scar lightly, and suddenly remembered that there seemed to be such a scene in Captain America, the Winter Soldier. When Natasha Romanoff explained the Winter Soldier problem to Steve, she exposed the scar. It's just a task, so I can't wear this dress now. Natasha Romanoff didn't say much, just handed the clothes to Levi. The waist of this dress is just exposed, and if Natasha Romanoff wore it, the scar would be almost 100% exposed. Okay, I'll let them change it. The clothes problem was solved, but soon there was another problem. This time the question was more embarrassing. It was from Levi and Natasha Romanoff. In the movie, Steve, Trevor and Diana have a bed scene, or a kiss scene, because the content after that is not shown to you. Anyway, the two of them came out of the same room the next morning. However, when it was the turn of Levi and Natasha Romanoff to perform this kiss scene, for some reason, the two of them still couldn't get into that state. Emotions exploded, and the two single men and women experienced a lot in the war-torn era, and the feeling that it finally came to fruition, the two of them have never been able to express it. In particular, after Levi changed the script, he deleted the original role of the Jazz, and changed airs from that role to Steve. Therefore, in this paragraph, Steve also showed that he originally wanted to play with Diana, but the result was attracted by her innocence, as well as the character and beauty, that are very different from other women. For Diana, she was just moved by a mortal, but for Steve, played by Levi, it was a forbidden love between brother and sister. That feeling made Levi even more difficult to grasp. Okay, don't laugh. It's hard for me to mobilize my emotions. Levi rolled his eyes. Because of the location of the camera, he is now shooting a close-up of him. He and Diana are standing by the window, and then he stares into Diana's eyes, bursting out emotionally, and is about to bow his head and kiss. However, Natasha Romanoff always laughed involuntarily when there was no camera watching, which made Levi NG several times. I'm sorry, seeing your affectionate expression, I really can't help it. I think it's against the law to see you playing a pure little girl who doesn't know much about the world. Levi muttered in his heart, and then started his own hypnotic ability again, fitting his emotions to the characters. And after so many troubles, Natasha Romanoff finally calmed down and cooperated with Levi with a serious face. Well, when the dial was handed over, Natasha Romanoff let out a soft snort in his nasal cavity, and then, infected by Levi emotions, immersed in his enthusiasm and flames. After a long time, the two parted their lips, and Levi's eyes regained clarity, and he quickly shouted a card, and then ran to the screen, to watch the episode just now. Yes, this paragraph is over, Levi said with a smile, and Natasha Romanoff smiled cooperatively, but in his eyes, he was thoughtful. Looking at Levi's busy figure, he didn't know what he was thinking. Wonder Woman, it's done. But Levi's work is far from over. He still has to guide the post-production special effects for this play, and work with the editor, to cut out the finished film. Not only that, but he also needs to find time to let Marvel Comics, a subsidiary of Marvel Entertainment, release new works quickly. In addition to the previous Resident Evil and shape-shifting King Kong series of comics, the newly launched Wonder Woman series will also be released quickly. Fact. In the mansion covering an area of nearly 1,000 acres, a baddie let out a roar, and he slammed the wine glass against the wall. And on the sofa on his left, an old man with grey hair, but dressed vigorously, who competed with Tony, was sitting there as securely as a mountain. Relax, it's no use doing this. Relax? There is no news from the person you sent, but that guy is still alive and kicking. It's been 3 months. He bought an island in Europe and made another movie. How can you make me calm down? 3 months, 4 waves of people were sent back and forth. The first 2 times were my own people, but the follow-up people were all international, secretly declared killers, imitation masters, bullseye. These people came to assassinate me, etc. People may not miss, but the other party didn't even lose a single hair. And the more this happened, the more worried Abade was that they might have hit the iron plate. So, Abade suddenly touched his bald head and then stared at the old man sitting on the sofa. Send him, celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time. October 1st to October 7th. Chapter 54. Pierce's fear. What the? White-haired old man looked blank, but in fact, there was a trace of deep sarcasm in his eyes. I said, send him. You know, only he can get rid of that guy himself. He can kill so many killers without anyone noticing. Then, once he starts revenge, we all escape. No. The sarcasm in the white-haired old man's eyes was even worse, but his tone was still relaxed. Abadi, he's not that scary. On the contrary, once my vicious dog is released, you know how terrifying he is. If he loses control, have you thought about the consequences? But you have to protect my safety. Let me tell you, I'm not the only one involved in the Stark incident. Although I don't know why you, as the Minister of the Security Council, did that, but I believe Nick Fury. It's great to know the ins and outs of this matter. The grey-haired old man is none other than S.H.I.E.L.D.'s head of the Security Council, Alexander Pierce. Ah, you threatening me? Pierce stood up, not tall and straight in front of the tall and burly Abade, who was of Slavic blood, but an indifferent aura seemed to be stalking Abade. Bared its chest. I just want you to know that something happened to me, and it will not do you any good. Abade said resentfully, but his voice was much softer. The more he came into contact with, the more fearful he became of this partner. Back then, in order to monopolize the Stark group, he did not hesitate to betray Howard's whereabouts to this guy, but he never expected that he would be on a boat of thieves ever since. Don't worry, we will solve him, and you, just keep your mouth shut. Pierce said coldly, then walked away. Walking out of Abade's mansion and getting into his own car, Pierce suddenly frowned. In fact, not only Abade was troubled by Levi problem, but he was also the same point. Abade only knew that he had sent 4 waves of people there, but he didn't know that there were more people secretly spying on Levi. But without exception, all of them died tragically. The point is, many times Levi is still exposed to their vision, and their people have already been dealt with. This shows that there is another force in the dark protecting Levi that they don't understand, which is almost impossible. S.H.I.E.L.D. has more than 200,000 employees, and the power of S.H.I.E.L.D. is his power. It is hard to imagine any place in the world that S.H.I.E.L.D. has not penetrated. Damn it, we must find a way to get rid of that guy. Pierce cursed secretly, and then looked to the left of his seat, where a man with long hair sat there quietly without saying a word. Pierce reached out and pulled him by the neck. Listen, go and bring me back that guy's head. If you can find out who is protecting him behind him, that would be even better. Remember, be careful, don't expose yourself. The man in black combat uniform glanced at Pierce blankly, then silently opened the door and got out of the car and quickly disappeared into the night. A few nights later, just after filming in Europe, Levi invited the crew and co-stars to dinner. On the beach, everyone was singing and dancing. Levi held his glass high and had a drink with everyone. After finally getting everyone settled, Levi fell asleep by the bonfire on the beach. Levi looked at Natasha Romanoff, who was still awake, and suddenly stepped forward and took her hand and walked to a place where there was no one. How does it feel to make a movie? Levi held Natasha Romanoff's hand, unwilling to let go. Although these hands have been holding the gun all year round, there are no rough calluses, but they remain very delicate, tender and interesting. It's not bad. In my previous performances, no one applauds me, and no one yells at me. Having said that, Natasha Romanoff glanced at Levi. As a director, when Levi loses his temper naturally, and Natasha Romanoff is the heroine, it is certain that she will be scolded, even if she is a talented actor. But, at the end of the day, the movie is the director's fantasy, not the actor's. The two walked farther and farther, and gradually came to a dark place. Levi looked around and suddenly smiled. The night is dark and the wind is high, so it is suitable for doing certain things. If you, Wonder Woman, are caught here, is there anyone who can save you? But, before Natasha Romanoff could say anything, behind the two of them, the low roar of the engine sounded, and the yellow Camaro turned on the headlights, illuminating the road ahead for the two of them. It seems that there is nothing to be done. Levi smiled softly. Natasha Romanoff took a strange look at the yellow sports car behind her. She didn't know the secret about this car, but she only knew that Levi would take this not so special sports car with him, even when he went to Europe. But now it seems quite special. At least, this intelligent driving function is enough to throw off most of the vehicles on the market. Celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time. October 1st to October 7th. Chapter 55. Let me introduce my bodyguard, Bumblebee. Accompanied by Bumblebee, the two walked along the road by the sea, enjoyed the sea view, and the sea breeze was blowing. It was almost the middle of the moon, and the two were ready to go back. However, halfway through the walk, suddenly there were a few strange soft noises from the roadside on both sides. Not good. Be careful. Natasha Romanoff has been well trained, and immediately realized what happened. She didn't care that she was also wearing cool clothes, and had no defenses. She immediately threw herself on Levi, hugged him and rolled to the cliff on the side of the road. Then there was only a bang, and the deafening sound of the grenade rolled to the center of the road at some point, and at the same time there were astonishing flames and fragments flying around. Hey, are you okay? Levi looked at Natasha Romanoff in his arms. This was the first time he encountered danger with Natasha Romanoff. The main reason was that there were no electronic devices around, and his surveillance network could not be deployed, so that people could touch it nearby. The several attacks he had encountered before were detected by sound waves before they had time to launch, and then sent out spies such as Confusion to Shift King Kong, and secretly dealt with them. I am fine, don't move here. Natasha Romanoff snorted, but still gritted her teeth, and wanted to rush out to check the situation, but Levi grabbed her, and shook his head. Stay here and don't move. You don't need to take action on this matter. Levi's powerful strength made Natasha Romanoff unable to break free, and she realized that Levi's strength was far greater than hers, and she was completely concerned about it. Still, what does Levi mean when someone fixes it? He also arranged bodyguards secretly. Over there, the killers ambushing on the side of the road saw the first grenade drum acted by the vigilant Natasha Romanoff, and rushed out immediately. A whole team of armed men in black combat uniforms came out, and surrounded the entire road layer by layer, and the leader was the guy who threw the grenade just now. He was extremely agile, far beyond normal people. He held an assault rifle in his arms, a submachine gun in his waist, and 2 pistols on his legs. There are military stabbing daggers, and even a few projectiles hanging from the tactical uniform. In short, this is a man armed to the teeth. It's him. Natasha Romanoff's eyes widened when she saw the extraordinary speed in the actions of the leader, and the memory of being in an escort operation suddenly came back. That was her air failure experience. It has been 10 years since she came to S.H.I.E.L.D. from the disintegration of the Soviet Union to the present. She has become a 10th level agent second only to the director and others in 10 years. The imaginary task was completed by ability, however, that time, she ended in a disastrous failure. A team of soldiers armed to the teeth, each wearing a mask, did not say a word, but held their guns, and steadily advanced towards the cliff where the two of Levi were hiding, not wanting to give them any chance. However, Levi looked at the beloved car behind them, which was ignored by them, and immediately shouted, "Fix them, Hornet." As soon as Levi's voice sounded, someone raised his hand and fired a gun, and the bullet fell directly on the ground in front of him, but he laughed out loud, pulled Natasha Romanoff to hide on the backslope, and watched the next good show. Crack. The sudden thought of the voice stunned the killers for a moment. Someone remembered Levi's shout, and couldn't help but look back. Crack. The sound of metal friction and impact sounded like a string of firecrackers intensively and powerfully. Numerous cracks appeared on the body of the yellow Chevrolet Camaro sports car, and then the body under the cracks began to transform and reorganize like a magic Rubik's Cube. But in a few seconds, a cool steel giant several meters tall appeared in front of them. Oh, mega. Natasha Romanoff's beautiful eyes fell on the Bumblebee in the distance. Her sexy little mouth opened and closed, making a sound of wonder, and Levi's face showed a hint of complacency. Introduce my bodyguard, Bumblebee. Boom. With a wave of his arm, an armed man with a gun was directly sent flying. Levi and Natasha Romanoff could even hear the sound of his bones breaking. Presumably, even if he didn't die, he would spend the rest of his life in bed. Boom. The Bumblebee took a step forward, then jumped, and stopped in front of Levi and Natasha Romanoff. The mask fell down, and the cute little bee transformed into a heroic warrior. Only then did the killers react, and raised their hands. The weapons fired at the same time, and immediately, gunshots rang out and bullets flew. However, the solid body of the Hornet stood in front of him, and those ordinary bullets could not penetrate the energy shield on his body at all. Then, a laser gun appeared on his arm, and his left hand directly transformed into a shotgun. Boom. A movement far greater than the grenade woke up the night, and the Bumblebee rampaged among the crowd, like a lion breaking into a flock of sheep, and began to kill. In the movie, the Bumblebee does not attack humans, because Optimus Prime does not allow the Autobots to attack humans. However, here, with Levi's permission, the Bumblebee has no scruples at all, and it is not too casual to kill these guys. However, when almost everyone was eliminated, there was one person who was still standing on the court, dealing with the Hornet. Celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. Chapter 56, Winter Soldier Bucky. This man, his speed is a bit strange. Looking at the only guy left in the field, Levi said suddenly. In fact, not only him, Natasha Romanoff also discovered this. Although there is no way to intuitively reflect strength, unless you go up and get punched by him, you can also see the difference in physical fitness from another aspect. He's a strengthening man. Natasha Romanoff and Levi looked at each other and said together. Natasha Romanoff is a strengthening person, but the extent of her strengthening is limited. In other words, she did not strengthen her physical fitness, but maintained her physical fitness and kept her condition at the peak forever. This allows her to have a near athlete level agility as well as strength and speed. However, the killer in front of him was able to maintain a certain space of advance and retreat under the movement of the Bumblebee, which is very scary. From Levi's professional eyes, the guy's instantaneous explosive speed and the change of direction in the air can be achieved in a matter of seconds. In the meantime, stepping on the Hornet's arm to make a roll, this kind of agility is not something ordinary people can do. Definitely, the strength of shape-shifting King Kong lies in their steel body and unimaginable firepower. Even an ordinary Autobot has a combat ability far exceeding that of a main battle tank. And this kind of thing, which is similar to cannon hitting mosquitoes, using hands and feet to catch a nimble person is really not their strong point. So, after several shots were evaded, the Hornet was obviously a little angry, and the consequences of his anger were, crack, crack. The sound of shape-shifting sounded again, and Bumblebee's right arm turned into a shining particle cannon in an instant, and he had already aimed at the guy who made him angry and angry. Hey, Bumblebee, wait. Levi stopped his car just in time, then smiled at Natasha Romanoff and squeezed her soft little hand. I'm going to avenge you. Levi winked at her, then walked forward. The killer also seemed to know that he couldn't outrun a supercar, so even if the Bumblebee stopped attacking, because of Levi's words, he didn't choose to run away, but continued to stare at the two people present with his cold, emotionless eyes. One car per person. Revenge. What kind of revenge? Natasha Romanoff was a little puzzled, didn't quite understand what Levi was talking about, but when Levi walked into the venue, and then Bumblebee turned on the lights to cheer him up, and even played music, she realized, shit, it's him. Bumblebee's lights illuminated the arena, and the killer who had been dealing with him finally revealed his full picture. Natasha Romanoff hadn't seen clearly just now, because of the crowd, but now, everything was invisible, and she also recognized that this guy was the one who shot the bullet that pierced her. that is, the maker of the wound on her waist. And compared to Natasha Romanoff's sudden awakening, Levi looks thoughtful looking at the killer who has no emotion. Naturally, he also recognized who this guy was, or in other words, who else could this be? Definitely poor little Bucky. With Levi eyesight, he was able to see Bucky's movements clearly. During the collision with the Hornet, Bucky used his left arm as a contact surface many times, because only steel can deal with steel. Several times, the Hornet's arm swept out. It seemed inconspicuous, just a random blow, but if Bucky touched it with his own body, it is estimated that he would have broken countless bones. And he used his own steel arm, although the power of the Bumblebee was still huge, but it was not enough to kill him. And it was because of this action that Levi recognized this guy. And now, he's going to teach him a lesson. Come on, a more passionate song. Levi shouted at Bumblebee. The original lively pop song suddenly became majestic, as if an ancient general was about to go to war. Watching Bumblebee jump from just now to a serious and mighty look, Levi happily smiled, and then without saying a word, he punched Bucky. Boom. Levi's strength has been growing. The T-Virus strengthening serum is not a product that taps the potential of the human body like the super soldier serum. The T-Virus is more like a key that opens the door to human evolution point. Or, in terms of genetic locks, the T-Virus is the key to the genetic locks, but most of the infected bodies can't even close the door. The evolution that could have been completed in millions of years will be completed in one day. Therefore, the infected creatures are extremely thirsty for energy, and will frantically eat flesh and blood. At the same time, their bodies will rot. In fact, it is the result of two fast evolution side effects. The Levi serum can control the speed of evolution and make it controllable without endangering the host originally. But he has been evolving and becoming stronger. His mental strength, his physical body, never stopped. So, this punch, Bucky couldn't catch it. Even if it is a steel arm, it even has its own driving engine inside. Celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 57, Dictatorship over all bells and whistles. For more, Levi threw out a punch without the slightest bit of fancy, and Bucky, or Winter Soldier's reaction was really fast. He had been paying attention to Levi movements, and the moment Levi punched out of the protection of the Hornet, he was all ready. They rushed up synchronously, swung their left arm out, a low but tight sound of mechanical transmission sounded, and violent power poured out instantly, hitting Levi's fist fiercely. Boom. There was a dull sound of mutual impact, and there was even a small air explosion on the scene. As a result of the two punches, Levi rushed up tyrannically, while Bucky flew in the air like a person who was hit by a car. Boom. Levi took advantage of the victory and chased after him. Bucky flew out first, but he pushed his body with great strength to catch up, and then grabbed Bucky's foot with a big hand, which was far better than Winter Soldier. The power suddenly exploded. Levi grabs Bucky and slams him into the ground, like he's holding a tomahawk and he's about to split the ground. Oh. Natasha Romanoff's eyes sparkled, and she looked at Levi with admiration. Levi broke out recklessly. The opponent, who was obviously easily defeated by the Hornet, had to do it herself. She would not dislike the meaning of this, clear to be honest. As a top agent, as a Black Widow, that makes countless men fearful. It is the first time that Natasha Romanoff enjoys the love of others, and enjoys the sense of security when others vent their anger on her. She is very strong. It can be said that in the Avengers Alliance, there are only two people who know what they are doing, and how to do it. One is Captain America, who was resurrected from the glacier, but Captain America also has a weakness, that is, being abused by Levi, the man who hit him. All of Captain America's composure vanished when he saw him. But Natasha Romanoff will not. Natasha Romanoff has no weakness. Natasha Romanoff can stick to her own ideas and strengthen her confidence when faced with any predicament and any desperate situation, even if there is a cliff ahead. She only made one mistake. When facing Ultron, she was lost by Wanda's illusion, but that can be counted as her weakness. But her painful past, she will not be depressed because of that, losing the will to fight. On the other hand, Thor and Hulk seem to be invincible, but what about them with great power? They were confused more than once, and fell into a choice more than once. At the beginning of Avengers: Age of Ultron, everyone participates in the activity of lifting the hammer, except Natasha Romanoff, because the director knows that she is the only one of everyone present who can lift it, because only she has the purest and strongest will. However, no matter how strong and firm this woman is, she is still a woman. When someone wraps her in his warmth and softness, she will also fall into the trap of this tenderness and cannot extricate herself. First, he was punched hard. His mechanical arm had no blocking effect at all, but Bucky was worthy of being a Winter Soldier honed through life and death. And then when Levi grabbed his foot and slammed it down towards the ground, he has already responded. Bucky first covered his head with his arms, arched his back with his chest in his arms, and protected his vital parts, and then turned his body as much as possible, so that the first place he landed became his left arm, so that the gravel and debris on the ground won't hurt him. Boom. Bucky was thrown to the ground like a huge amount of sandbag, although he made various defensive actions, but a living person was manipulated like this. Even if he was a strengthening person, it made him grunt in pain. However, the quality of a super soldier made him get up in the next second, and then he took out 2 military stabbing daggers from his waist and stabbed Levi's body one by one. Whispering sound. Levi chuckled lightly, with a hint of sarcasm in his laughter. He is full of theoretical knowledge, although his operability may not be as good as that of Winter Soldier, a battle honed in life and death. Consciousness, but his crushing strength made up for that little lack of skill. How do you say something in the face of absolute strength? All skills are just fancy, so what if the torso goes back and forth under the great sword? Never let go of a big villain. So, Levi just stretched out his hands, grabbed Bucky's wrist faster than Bucky, and then pulled the 2 military thorns directly, turning them into playthings in his hands. And in the next second, Bucky didn't even move in a daze, and when the military stab was taken away, he touched his waist, and he touched the small world's #1 ADC in his hand, and then chugged towards Levi up. But before he actually hit the target, he found that the person in front of him had come to his side, grabbed the Uzi in Bucky's hand from top to bottom, although the muzzle was still spraying flame, but in the next second, the entire submachine gun was directly crushed by Levi. Remember my hand, it's called G2. The update is very stable, at least 4 updates. Please collect and flowers, celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. Chapter 58. Rip Bucky's arm. Levi grinned, and Bucky, with his big white teeth flashing, was a little dazed. He didn't know what Levi meant, but Levi didn't intend to let him know. The iron hand waved, and Levi raised his arm to block it. The iron arm, which was strong enough to smash a car, could not be stored when it touched Levi. Unlocking the move, suddenly, his expression changed, and a smile appeared on his mouth. Found it. Levi discovered where the transmission joints on the iron hand were. He immediately stepped forward, slit, and dragged Bucky up, causing him to lose his center of gravity, unable to move at all for a while, and then he heard Levi yell. The veins on his smooth forehead popped out. The shocking power is like a galloping hummer, unstoppable. Crack. What? Bucky, who has been silent for a long time, just attacking and defending silently, finally couldn't bear the severe pain that hit him, and screamed out. On his left arm, the clothes on his arm were completely torn, and the precise mechanical arm was violently attacked by Levi, dismantled, revealing the bloody joint under the shoulder. Bucky howled in pain. The pain of breaking his arm was unbearable. Even though he had been through a lot of tempering, like a piece of fine steel, he couldn't help trembling for it. Wait a moment, just. When Levi was about to knock Bucky unconscious, he just raised his hand, but was stopped by Natasha Romanoff's voice. Don't kill him yet. Natasha Romanoff looked at Levi and rushed up, her face full of disbelief. What's wrong? Watching Bucky rolling and howling on the ground, Levi asked. Natasha Romanoff didn't respond to Levi immediately, but directly pulled off the mask on Bucky's face, revealing a face with some vicissitudes, some bewildered, but more painful. It's really him. Natasha Romanoff looked at Levi. Bucky, this is Staff Sergeant Bucky Barnes, you know? The United States Captain's comrade in arms, the United States hero. Levi scratched his head. He definitely knew, so he didn't intend to kill Bucky at all. And he knows that Bucky is not only Captain America's friend and brother, but also a big mountain of Hydra. Alexander Pierce is confident. He keeps Bucky. It is better for him to eradicate Hydra's gang of lifeless guys, but there is no small help. Get out of the way first, and if you keep blocking like this, he will lose too much blood and die. Levi said helplessly. Natasha Romanoff and Bucky are both from the Soviet Union. The first person to brainwash Bucky was not the current Hydra, but the Soviet Union, and then moved to Hydra. And Natasha Romanoff had met Bucky when he was in the Red House, but Bucky had been brainwashed so many times that he didn't remember her at all. But for Natasha Romanoff, this is one of her few old friends, so when she found the iconic mechanical arm, she rushed to stop Levi. He took a bottle of Umbrella's hemostatic potion from the exchange, and after spraying it on Bucky, Levi slapped him down, knocking out the idiot at the moment. After thinking about it, he exchanged another pair of shackles, made of fine steel, to help this guy out. These things. Do you take them with you? Natasha Romanoff was obviously surprised to see a bunch of things coming out of Levi's hands in a flash. It was the first time she saw Levi perform such a unique skill in front of her. Thinking of the Bumblebee standing guard next to her, she only felt that her worldview needed to be updated. Is this the first time you know I have a super ability? Oh, good news for you. I can take something out of my movie. Are you satisfied now? Levi is not worried about his ability being known, not to mention that Natasha Romanoff can already be counted as one of his own. It can be seen from the fact that she disregarded herself and threw Levi under her body to cover herself when she was attacked at the beginning, so Levi intends to disclose some secrets that are not a big deal. Moreover, in the future, he will exchange more and more things and people, and he will not be able to hide it. When others see that every time a movie is released, some things in the movie will appear around him, and fools will understand that he has this kind of love. Super ability point, so it's fine to cover up at the beginning. It's because it hasn't developed yet, and now it's time to form an army of shaper shifting King Kong. Levi really doesn't think he needs to do it himself. Besides, if he announces what his ability is, can others restrain it? He is not a Kryptonian. He is afraid of green. Well, this is really the first time I know, but anyway, there are a lot of weird things in this world. Natasha Romanoff accepted it quickly, as she said, here, but Marvel, there are too many weird things. Is there anything in mutant? Levi smiled and motioned for Bumblebee to turn back into a sports car, then lifted Bucky and put him in the back seat, while he and Natasha Romanoff sat in the front, and went back in a hurry. It's okay for the protagonist's ability to be known by some confidants. Natasha Romanoff will soon become one of her own, and won't talk nonsense. Celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. Chapter 59. Pierce in a panic. What are you going to do with him? Chop it into meat sauce and feed it to the dogs, Levi said with a sneer. Natasha Romanoff gave him a white look. Her beautiful eyes showed a shocking charm. To be frank, I'm serious. Who made you care about him so much? Remember, I'm the only man who can make you care so much, Levi said seriously. Then he smiled and glanced at the back seat. Let's talk about it when his memory recovers. I want to ask him something. By the way, I want him to do something. Before that, I won't touch him. And there's no need to have a grudge against him. It's not me. Levi doesn't want to be a judge. Bucky, as a brainwashed tool without supervisory consciousness, killed Howard Stark, and whether Mariah is guilty or not, he doesn't want to judge this matter. Whether the gun is guilty or the person holding the gun is guilty, leave it to Tony himself. Natasha Romanoff didn't understand what he meant, but she also knew that Levi had no intention of killing Bucky, and that was enough. After realizing this, she looked at Levi with charming eyes, and the corners of her mouth were slightly raised, but because of the people behind, and the shadow of the last time, she didn't do anything. The two quickly returned to the coastal hotel, where the crew was located, and after handing Bucky over to Bumblebee, the next day, because Wonder Woman had already finished filming, the entire crew was on vacation. Everyone tidied up and rushed to the airport to prepare to return to the United States. And Levi specially transferred Stark Group's private jet over. With his friendship with Tony, this matter is naturally easy. Even if the friendship is not enough, he still has 10% of the shares of Stark Group. The third largest shareholder is not kidding. After several hours of flight, Levi and Natasha Romanoff returned to Los Angeles, and then the Bumblebee galloped all the way, and the two of them plus a prisoner all returned home. However, as soon as he entered the house, Natasha Romanoff's phone rang. What happened? She smiled at Ian when she entered the door, and Natasha Romanoff, who was flirting with Levi, changed her expression. After answering the phone, Levi hurriedly asked with concern, "It's okay, it's just that there is something in the bureau that requires me to go back." Levi narrowed his eyes, then smiled. "Since you have something to do, you can go first. By the way, if you come back for dinner at night, remember to call in advance, and I will ask someone to prepare your favorite Chinese food." Faced with Levi warmth, Natasha Romanoff was quite excited. He knew that he was here to monitor him, but he still treated him sincerely, and he didn't even hide his secrets. With two women, Natasha Romanoff couldn't think of any flaws in him. Natasha Romanoff took a step forward, raised her head slightly, looked into Levi's eyes, then suddenly stood on tiptoe. Her bright red lips touched Levi lightly. "I will return." Natasha Romanoff turned like a gust of wind, only to hear Levi speak behind her. "I know. Besides, is it too little? I haven't tasted what it tastes like yet." A red lipstick flew by, and Levi reached out to catch it. "Eat slowly." The cute laugh went away, and Levi watched Natasha Romanoff drive away in her own red Panamera. The expression on his face gradually darkened. Before his eyes, the Red Queen was playing the call that Natasha Romanoff had just received. "I hope you will be more informed, and don't do things that make me uncomfortable." A hint of murder flashed in Levi's eyes. As for the safety of Natasha Romanoff, Levi was not worried, because the red Panamera that Natasha Romanoff drove out just now was not an ordinary sports car. For the safety of his own woman, Levi thinks he pays more attention to it. Bucky went out on a mission, but didn't send back any news. It's conceivable how anxious and panicked Pierce must be, not only because of Bucky's identity, but also because of the issue involving him as the president of the Security Council. If Nick Fury knew about Bucky, if Bucky regained his memory point for him, and for Hydra as a whole, it will be a huge amount of hit. Therefore, it is natural that they will make some moves. However, Levi will not let Natasha Romanoff take risks easily. He is ready. Natasha Romanoff left all the way. She did not return to Washington, D.C., but drove directly to the city. Los Angeles is the second largest city in the United States, the economic center of the West, and naturally has a branch of S.H.I.E.L.D. After parking the car downstairs, the brightly dressed Natasha Romanoff went directly to the top floor of the Los Angeles branch, the office of the branch chief, with a cold face. And as soon as she entered the office, she found that several people were already waiting for her on the conference call. "Agent Romanoff, please sit down." On the screen is the figure of Alexander Pierce, the Minister of the World Security Council, accompanied by a security director and several high-level agents and officials. "Thank you, sir." After Natasha Romanoff was stunned for a second, she immediately reacted, smiled coquettishly, and then sat in the seat prepared for herself. And Pierce started talking. "Agent Romanoff, I heard from Fury that you were sent to a director. Although I don't know why a director would threaten national security, can you please tell me about the results of your mission?" "Definitely, I'm not questioning your ability, but I have received some information, so I need to ask you about it," Pierce said with a smile. But even through the screen, even if it was just a little distorted camera, Natasha Romanoff could feel the falseness in his words, the malice in his eyes. "Celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. recharge 100, and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. Chapter 60 Pierce's Wrath. In outer space, on an unknown military satellite, a strange object is attached to it. Transparent tentacles penetrate into the satellite, and then spread its consciousness to the whole world through invisible electrical signals. And right now, Levi is following a meeting. As the world's top agent and spy, acting and spying on people's psychology, this is the ability engraved in Natasha Romanoff's bones. Pierce may have been in a high position for too long, even though he was once an outstanding agent and once led the shield of an era, but he exposed his thoughts. Sir, I don't know. What kind of report do you want to hear? Written or oral? For this kind of impatient man, Natasha Romanoff has the most experience. Most men only need a few words from her mouth to make them eager to untie their clothes, and in the next second, they will find themselves game over. Undressing is a trick only low-level spies use. Natasha Romanoff was able to disintegrate from the Soviet Union in just a few decades, and has become one of the only 10th level agents in SHIELD naturally. It cannot be that low-level trick point. Besides, in this world, how many truly powerful men are attracted by beauty? Tony Stark. Have you ever seen him go find any woman who climbed into his bed? The Magazine Girl is a weekly magazine, a once-a-week hookup event, with fresh faces every time, but what is revealed behind it? No one could be under his attention for more than a week. Except Pepper Potts, which he hasn't got in 10 years. Natasha Romanoff knows how to mobilize the emotions of men, and in her opinion, the people present are all idiots. Agent Romanoff, just give a verbal report on the progress. Pierce took a deep look at Natasha Romanoff. At his age, he would naturally not be fascinated by women, even if she was a bit stunning in her beauty, but he had seen many such women. Okay, sir. No, I have nothing special to gain for the time being. I haven't found any evidence that threatens national security. In addition, according to my assessment of his character and behavior, he will not take the initiative to be our enemy. Natasha Romanoff pursed her lips. Those present were not all old men like Pierce. When her smile appeared, she could guarantee that at least 4 people changed their faces. Nausea. A word appeared in Natasha Romanoff's mind. For some reason, she suddenly felt that the things she used to do were a little disgusting. It was her usual method to arouse men's interest through inadvertent expressions or actions, but she suddenly found that it's more interesting to laugh and act with him. She was shocked by Pierce's words, though. Well, Agent Romanoff, at first, I didn't want to believe this, but you have failed SHIELD's trust. Pierce snapped. There was an expression of anger on his wrinkled face. His eyes were squinted, and he looked at Natasha Romanoff, as if he were scrutinizing a criminal, a traitor. Look, everyone. Natasha Romanoff also raised her head along the way, only to find that this turned out to be a video of Natasha Romanoff and Levi standing next to the Bumblebee. She suddenly realized something, and looked at Pierce with beautiful eyes in disbelief. It's you sent it. Natasha Romanoff hadn't finished speaking when Pierce let out angrily, that's right, those agents were sent by SHIELD. I have already received information. You deliberately concealed the real situation about this person, so you sent people to test it out. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be such an amazing secret. Pierce interrupted what Natasha Romanoff was going to say. He definitely knew what Natasha Romanoff was going to say. It was nothing more than the topic of Winter Soldier. He definitely couldn't let Natasha Romanoff speak out about this matter in public, although most of the people here were bribed by him. The topic of Winter Soldier cannot be talked about now, but in private, there is no need to worry, because at that time, no one would believe her when she said it, and would only think that Natasha Romanoff was sophistrying and throwing dirty water. The Winter Soldier is gone anyway, so what if Levi didn't kill him? They're about to get their hands on Levi. Shapeshifting King Kong, such a big matter. Natasha Romanoff actually hides from them that the Cybertronians are real, and this alone is enough to make the entire SHIELD mobilize. In a sense, Natasha Romanoff did betray SHIELD for Levi, and there's nothing wrong with them doing it. Seeing this scene, Levi knew that it was time for him to act. Zzzz, you should go. The radio signal is transmitted, and it is transmitted from space to the ground in an instant. Squeak. In. The parking lot outside the building, the red Porsche Panamera suddenly started on its own and rushed towards the building in front of it. Come on, take her down. I'm going to see Commander Fury now. Shapeshifting King Kong is of great importance. We must deal with it immediately. The door of the conference room opened, and two soldiers with guns came in, stood at the door, and looked at Natasha Romanoff coldly. Celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. Chapter 61. My Queen, it's time to go home. 4 more. Pierce stood up and was about to shut down the communication, and the other participants had no objection to his plan to detain the outstanding 10th level agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. After all, they were basically Pierce's people, not to mention that the evidence was already conclusive, even if Nick Fury couldn't say much here either. You will regret this. Natasha Romanoff stood up, raised her feet, and was about to walk out, but she was thinking about how to break the situation. But at this moment, boom, a bang, then, a huge amounts of mechanical arm pierced through the wall, and the meeting room was in a mess. Natasha Romanoff subconsciously blocked his eyes, and when he moved away, he found that the wall not far from him had been pierced. The rather friendly steelhead was staring at her. My queen, it's time to go home. Natasha Romanoff was taken aback for a moment, and then a hint of annoyed shyness appeared on her face. That bastard. Then, Natasha Romanoff happily trots forward and leaps. Stop her. On the screen, Pierce yelled inexplicably in shock, and the two soldiers who were also terrified at the door reacted, but just as they raised their guns, they heard a bang. Transformed into the Decepticon of Palamala, the Phantom, the artillery in his hand blasted out, and the huge office was instantly shattered, but he had already received his mistress, caught her, and then leaned back, falling back. The steel body wrapped around Natasha Romanoff completed extremely fast shapeshifting in the air, and by the time it landed, it had already turned into the bright red supercar. But the engine roared, and the smoke of the S.H.I.E.L.D. branch building was still lingering, but the culprit had already gone away. Fac. S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, on the curved wing building, in the office of the Security Council. Alexander Pierce looked angrily at the screen in front of him, but it was already pitch black. But soon, a new video came in. Hi, Pierce. Levi is standing in his garage busy with something. He is editing the film. He doesn't need an editor. He and the Red Queen are the best editors in the world, and many shots are finished in his mind. He just needs to apply them. Levi. Pierce looked at the screen in front of him. His eyes showed deep fear, but at the same time, he also showed doubts about how Levi invaded his office. Given his agent identity, he naturally wouldn't go to the cinema to watch some sci-fi popcorn movies. He knows about shapeshifting King Kong, but he doesn't know much about the abilities of the Cybertronians. The video he got was from the camera on the agent who attacked Levi and them that night, but what he didn't know was that it was left to him by Levi. Otherwise, with the ability of the sound wave, even if Ultron comes, it is impossible to defeat him in the network field. As for a video, it is naturally impossible to send it back. Well, yes, it's me. What should I call you? Alexander Pierce. Oh no, you should be Haydella Pierce, shouldn't you? Pierce's pupils narrowed in an instant, and an unprecedented fear flooded his heart. Haydella, or Hydra, is his reliance, the reliance of his rise, but at the same time, it is also his deepest nightmare. He has never controlled Hydra, and he has only become a smuggler of Hydra until now, and once Hydra comes out, it will be the enemy of the whole world, unless they can solve all the enemies. Oh, you're scared. No, don't worry, no one will believe me if I tell you, right? Levi shrugged. Yes, tell me, who'll believe it? Nick Fury? Or the President of the United States? Got the upper body of S.H.I.E.L.D. The President of the World Security Council is actually Hydra. Don't be funny. This joke is like the rumor that Gorbachev was a spy for America. Well, although the latter is indeed quite similar. However, as an existence that has successfully declared war against S.H.I.E.L.D., Levi said that Alexander Pierce is Hydra, and it is absolutely impossible for anyone to believe him. Pierce obviously thought of this too, but seeing Levi's mysterious smile, his heart was beating wildly. His instinct told himself that Levi must have other means, which would strangle him by the throat point, and Levi wasn't going to hide it from him. No one will believe me when I say it, but if I show this to Nick Fury, or if I put it on the internet and show it to the general public, what do you think you will do? A piece of information frantically appeared on Pierce's screen like that annoying advertisement pop-up window. His computer seemed to be hit by some kind of high-level virus. Countless files quickly piled up on his vision, and he didn't even need to open it to see that he was finished. Update is not a problem. Please collect it. It will be on the shelves on Wednesday, and it will explode at 10 o'clock. Celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. Chapter 62. Hit a snake and hit 7 inches. First calm down, Pierce. One more. You are dead. Levi smiled and said that it is a difficult skill to master. Fortunately, his thinking is quick enough. Even if he is chatting with Pierce, he can still do the editing work at hand. You are undoubtedly finished, unless you don't come to trouble me. Levi was like a guide who lit a torch in the dark, like Prometheus who stole the fire from heaven, and a beam of light fell into Pierce's heart. Levi simply hacked into Pierce's office computer and his home computer to find a lot of evidence that he was Hydra, which was enough to kill him. However, Levi does not intend to end so simply. That's Hydra. Hitting a snake requires hitting 7 inches. Is Pierce the 7 inches of Hydra? Obviously not. Pierce died. Hydra will not perish. You must know that from the fall of the Helicarrier to the rise of Ultron to the civil war of the Avengers Alliance. The Avengers Alliance, including the remaining personnel of S.H.I.E.L.D. led by Phil Coulson, and the governments of various countries, took so long, but none of them suppressed Hydra kill clean. What Levi has to do is to kill them all. And to do this, first of all, he had to make a film. No way. A shapper-shifting King Kong is more than 20 million. The stronger ones, not to mention Optimus Prime and Megatron. Let's talk about Sasser, Starscream, Digger Troops, Ironhide, Hot Rod waiting for the Autobots. If they want to really gather a shapper-shifting King Kong army, Levi few points are not enough. Not to mention, this is not the world of shapper-shifting King Kong. There are superheroes and supervillains in this world. The Ghost knows if Hydra has any mutant thugs or black technology. Therefore, in order to overthrow the entire Hydra, Levi must first have an army, a shapper-shifting King Kong army, that can fight at least one battle. And secondly, he must exchange for a sufficient ability. A super soldier cannot change the situation of the battle unless you are Superman. Justice League, to put it bluntly, is 5 melon skins put together. With great difficulty Bala revived Superman, and then Superman pushed the crystal horizontally, ending the story of the game. In order to prevent being turned over and beheaded by some weird guys, Levi has to be prepared. Therefore, for the time being, he doesn't intend to turn against Pierce, let alone kill him. Instead, Levi will stabilize him and let him hold back the people of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra. At least, let them think about him later. Because, after a while, he will be invincible. What do you want? Pierce watched all the files on the desktop disappear, and Levi figure reappeared in front of him, with a little fear in his angry voice. Levi has mastered his biggest secret, and has the ability to tell the secret, which makes him not afraid. As Hydra, he is very clear that when the conclusive evidence is presented that something happened to him, absolutely no one will help him, but they will stay away from him. Even those who hit him hardest are probably Hydra's people, because only in this way can it be shown that they are not part of it. Therefore, facing Levi's threat, Pierce can only choose to compromise. He has no other way. It's very simple. Pierce, I'm actually very gentle. What I hate the most is fighting and killing people. Keep people from S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra away from me. Otherwise, you won't be able to beat my Civitan. Agent said otherwise. But you, Pierce, you will definitely die first. Levi in the garage pressed a button on the computer. The video communication ended, and he had already heard the voice of the Phantom outside. You are weak. The car drove directly into the garage, and Natasha Romanoff came down angrily and walked up to Levi. And Levi method is also very simple. Just pull her over, pull her into his arms, and then kiss her hard. This woman is a typical hard-mouthed person. but no matter how hard spoken she is, Levi can make her soft spoken. Well, after a long time, their lips parted, Natasha Romanoff's cheeks were glowing, and a pair of moving eyes fell on Levi's face. You are so weak that you even sent someone to monitor me. Moreover, you lost my job. Oh, so I'm not protecting you? Besides, isn't it your job to be my heroine? Miss Diana Prince. The corners of Levi's mouth turned upwards. Seeing his rascal appearance, Natasha Romanoff was furious. She was originally ordered to monitor Levi, but it turned out that she was being monitored by Levi. Thinking of this, she gritted her teeth, pulled Levi over, pushed him down on the chair, spread her slender and powerful legs, straddled his waist, and looked at the lips that were always grinning fiercely bit down. Hiss, it hurts. Levi struggled, and soon it was him who took the initiative. Levi touched his lips, and a little red blood appeared on his fingertips. This woman is so cruel. What are you going to do? You are declaring war on S.H.I.E.L.D., and declaring war on them is tantamount to declaring war on the United States. Celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. Chapter 64 Wonder Woman is released. On sale tomorrow night. First order. Tricker Wing building. Nick Fury frowned tightly, walked into the office of the Security Council. Pierce, what the hell is going on? Nick Fury came straight to the point. His most powerful agent can almost be regarded as the sudden betrayal of Natasha Romanoff brought out by him. This is not a small news. Pierce on the sofa had already regained his composure, and he looked calm. Facing Nick Fury's arrival and questioning, he just raised his eyes. Nick, shouldn't I ask you this matter? I just received the information and then hosted an inquiry. The video is there. Didn't you watch it? From the procedural to the logical point of view, Pierce has no faults or problems. As a 10th level agent, Natasha Romanoff is already a senior member of S.H.I.E.L.D. The only ones who can interrogate her are Nick Fury and Pierce. But, despite this, Nick Fury still had doubts, and his intuition told him that this matter was not that simple. Nick, Romanoff's betrayal is not the point. As the director, you should focus on other places. This Mr. Levi shapper-shifting King Kong is the target we must focus on. Pierce said in a deep voice. He naturally remembered the agreement proposed by Levi, but it was impossible for him to hide all this directly. In fact, he couldn't hide it either. There are almost all video materials, definitely including all kinds of previous information. Pierce, this is my duty, but I also want to understand why the most capable and powerful agent under me will fall into the arms of others. And, as a 10th level agent, what Natasha Romanoff knows has a great impact on us. The impact will also not be small. Nick Fury responded. What he said is correct, but from the perspective of national security, the seriousness of the shapper-shifting King Kong is naturally higher. Provided that the shapper-shifting King Kong really exists, a powerful alien race lurks on Earth, or threat unmatched by any other. You can investigate this matter by yourself. However, for the director, I suggest putting aside the obvious actions for the time being. The strength of the other party is unknown, and we don't know how many subas are there by his side, or by our side. Tanners exist. It is unwise to go to war at this stage. Perhaps you can find out the details of the director through the Romanov agent. Nick Fury didn't get the answer he wanted, but despite Pierce trying to hide it, he still found something amiss. Since Pierce handed over the position of director to him, he has rarely come to direct his work. Like today, he directly proposed to avoid conflict with Levi, which basically would not appear in normal times. Nick Fury definitely knows that some of his subordinates, as well as some of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s personnel, are Pierce's people. This is not surprising. An intelligence organization, even for its own leaders, must monitor intelligence. But why did he expose himself so much? The matter was suppressed like this. Levi outburst and Natasha Romanoff's departure did not cause any disturbance, as if S.H.I.E.L.D. deliberately forgot about this matter. However, secretly, the battle plan for dealing with the shapper-shifting King Kong has become more enthusiastic, and the scientific department has also raised several important levels in the research and development of weapons to deal with the shapper-shifting King Kong. On the other hand, Levi was much more straightforward. Seeing that S.H.I.E.L.D. had selectively forgotten himself, he simply lived his life as he wanted. While starting to shoot Biochemical Second, he edited Wonder Woman and pushed for its release. After making a fuss in the Los Angeles branch, with Natasha Romanoff slightly worried and excited about her new life, Levi and others spent more than 3 months in peace. And Wonder Woman is finally coming out soon. As early as after the finalization, the promotion period of this movie has already started. Natasha Romanoff, as the protagonist, naturally appeared in variety shows many times, while Levi only made a few symbolic appearances. Definitely, everyone knows his habits, and as a director, he is very busy, so no one will be surprised. And Natasha Romanoff, who is famous enough to disdain the entire Hollywood, has made many appearances, even if there is no promotion of comic stories. Even if for the vast majority of audiences, this magical movie is different from Levi's previous sci-fi movies. It's special, but everyone's expectations are equally full, especially when the heroic figure in the trailer, holding a sword and shield, walks in the smoke and flames of war, showing his might in a battlefield full of killing and blood. Even if many people wonder why the protagonist is a woman, after watching it, my heart is still full of anticipation. And most importantly, Wonder Woman, as the first female superhero with the main theme in the history of the United States, even if it appears in this world, it will have a great impact on the masses of the people. In particular, it has been sought after by many women. While men are obsessed with Diana's looks and long legs, women are keen on Diana's heroic posture, which is the scene of beating everyone in the field of this man on the battlefield. Celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 65: Expand the Worldview, the Sun God Apollo. For more. Regarding the movie, Levi made a lot of revisions. In the original world, because of the crude plot and the hasty release, the movie was almost useless except for special effects and actors, and it was impossible to get to the bottom of it. In fact, the same is true of Aquaman, released later. People who have watched the Black Panther movie can easily see that the plot of Aquaman is basically a complete copy of Black Panther from the perspective of the main line. In the same hidden kingdom, the technology is more advanced than the outside world, and then the younger brother wants to go to war, and the big brother wants to stop it. Similarly, there is a conflict between the brothers, and then there is a duel to determine the throne, and then the big brother loses first and then wins. Finally stop the war. Then Black Panther preached racial equality, and Aquaman preached ocean conservation. The routine is exactly the same, except that the special effects are more cool, and there is also the heroine, and then the positions of the younger brother and the big brother are changed, from the younger brother being wild to the big brother being wild. The difference is hard to see. Definitely, in fact, this film should be called Aquaman. If you look carefully, you can find that in the whole movie, there is no such word as the King of the Sea. Even if Arthur's younger brother Orm wants to unify the 7 seas, he also calls himself the Sea Lord. No way. The copyright of Aquaman is in Marvel. After all, Aquaman Namor is the first superhero created by Marvel. Levi even felt that there was a high probability that he could find the real Aquaman under the Atlantic Ocean now. But back to Wonder Woman, Levi has high hopes for this film, because although the previous films are all series, and can make money, there are only so many things he can extract, and more. It was used by him to reap the box office. Starting from Wonder Woman, Levi intends to build his own DC movie universe in this world, and Wonder Woman is the beginning. For this reason, he made many deletions and revisions to the storyline, and even made several changes during the filming process. The finalized version is actually very different from the original in another world. For example, at the beginning, Levi planned to play Steve and Ayers himself, so that Ayers and Diana had a fateful entanglement, but later he found that, in this case, the worldview seemed too simple. It doesn't matter if the storyline is simple, but if the worldview is too simple, then it will be more difficult to film as you go to the end, and it is very likely that you will need to be forced to restart after not filming a few films, such as X-Men series, such as Superman series, such as Spider-Man series. Pat clap reboot, start over, do it all over again. And this kind of behavior will actually lose a lot of viewers. Even if there are new fans to fill in, the loss is the loss. For example, many people have watched Tobey Maguire's old version of Spider-Man, and seeing the later Extraordinary series, they can't stand it at all. In fact, this is more or less related to the initial setting of the screenwriter. The worldview is only grand, and some things are not easy to spread out. So, Levi made changes to this part. For example, he no longer played Ares, he was still Steve Trevor. But his identity changed from Ares to another god, Apollo. Ares and Diana's brother, another of the 12 gods of Olympus. A powerful deity who symbolizes light and the sun. Because in Levi's view, Diana's origin comes from mythology. Although she will join Zenglian to fight against alien life in the future, in her single story, it is better to focus on mythology. Whether it's DC or Marvel, science fiction and magic coexist, such as Marvel's Thor and Sorcerer Supreme, while DC has Constantine. In fact, Diana should also represent the fantasy series, but most of the enemies after her, or her famous battles, were fighting against the enemies of the science fiction series, such as Doomsday and the like, which wasted a very useful line. Therefore, Levi changed the originally too thin storyline, the drama of sibling rivalry, into a big brother protecting his sister, and being bullied by his younger brother. Look, it is for in an instant. Moreover, this is not surprising, because the god that Paradise Island believes in is Artemis, the goddess of hunting, and Artemis is the younger sister of Apollo's compatriots, so he looks after the Amazons on Paradise Island. It's normal and reasonable. The original fierce and cruel image of Ares does not need to be changed, and it can even bring out the charm of Apollo, the most warm and handsome man in Mount Olympus. In comparison, Diana's feelings for Apollo and Ares are actually easier to accept. Definitely, in this way, the divine power that Levi can exchange is even stronger. The sun god, compared to a god of war whose divine power will weaken if no one fights, is the sun god even more awesome. According to my estimation, an ordinary god also needs about 1 billion points to exchange, such as does Uzian's ancient Axie, and I still have 700 million points left. As long as 300 million box office, I can exchange for Apollo the divine power of the sun. A steady horse. Levi gave him a thumbs up for his wit. Brothers, it will be on the shelves tomorrow at 12 noon. Begging for the first order. Celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. Chapter 66. All praises. Wonder Woman is on fire. On shelves at night. Ask for the first order. The movie is out in the autumn of 2006. Levi's third blockbuster film, with a brand new theme and magical style, returned to the battlefield of World War I, and the film with female protagonists officially moved to the big screen. Due to the excellent performance of the first two films, especially Change 1, which swept nearly 900 million box offices worldwide. Levi's reputation became popular for a while, so this time, all aspects of publicity and various screenings spread smoothly. It went well. Moreover, this time, Levi finally let his film be released globally simultaneously. In fact, only a very small number of super blockbusters can do this. However, according to the estimates of many media, as long as the performance of this Wonder Woman is changed by half, then Levi will almost enter the 1 billion box office club. And once he enters this rank, it means that he will become one of the top directors in Hollywood, standing on the same level as Cameron, Spire and others. Very well, here we come. Levi stayed at home, and he did not participate in offline premieres and other activities. At this moment, he was quietly staying at home, waiting for the movie to be released, and the system refreshed the redemption list of the Wonder Woman movie for himself. Fuck. Levi patted his head and couldn't help blurting out. Almost as soon as the premiere over there opened, he refreshed the redemption list. But why is Apollo so expensive? 2 billion? Are you fucking kidding me? That's right. The price marked on the back of Apollo's sun power is exactly 2 billion points. And Levi looked at his balance, 780 million. Because it is still rising, this number is changing rapidly. You know, just now, there was an extra 10 million in the box office of the premiere, 2 billion, and he is still short of 1.2 billion. In another world, according to the data of 2018, a total of 36 movies worldwide have a box office of more than 1 billion. However, there are only 17 movies with a box office of more than 1.2 billion, which has not yet reached half. And if Levi wants to exchange for the power of the sun, then this Wonder Woman must create a miracle for him. And the miracle really came. In just 3 days, Levi may have been a little shocked when he saw it. In 3 days, the global box office exceeded 100 million, and after that, overwhelming praise flooded in like a flood. A god has come to earth. Praise my goddess, Diana Prince. This is a pure goddess. She is like the rising dawn, illuminating my heart. Whether the sins of human beings are bewitched by gods, we don't know, but when the stories the goddess heard, since childhood were shattered in front of her eyes, she was confused, she was lost, she didn't know why she was fighting, but she still fought for human beings. Praise the goddess. Wow, Apollo's little big brother is so handsome. I seem to fly to the sun, to stand side by side with him. The one in front, you flew up. Please ask me when my wife Artemis, the goddess of the moon, will come home. I miss her. Ah, you overdoing it. But Apollo big brother's smile is so warm, like the real Sunday being. Bullied by the black-hearted big brother, and then the warm-hearted big brother protects you. Ah, such a touching story. I think I'm in love. How about you? The comments below the film have always been unserious, and the serious film critics, in fact, did not lack praise. The IMDb score is as high as 9.5, which is simply shocking. This is a height that very few literary films can achieve, and it has to be that a literary film produced by a top exporter. The freshness of Rotten Tomatoes is as high as 95%. This is a movie with a 95% appreciation, which is enough to show that this new work by Levi makes most people unable to say no. You must know that the most difficult thing in the world is that it is difficult to agree with everyone. If people's opinions can be heard, then there is no difference between governing 100 people and governing 100 million people. But in fact, the former is a staff member of a neighborhood committee, while the latter is the leader of a big country. But Levi did it, allowing 95% of the people to vote for satisfaction and approval, and the number of people who have watched this film is still expanding. This is a great start. Women appear in the realm of men. This lovely girl, isolated from the world, lives on Paradise Island. She has only one attitude to the world. Why can't women? Yes, why women can't? We've been taught too much. In fact, until now, there are still people who think that women should stay at home to wash and cook, while men can spend their days and drinks wantonly outside. Yeah, why can't women? A congresswoman said on the show. This is a superhero. Yes, I use the word hero. In fact, the earliest we know this word comes from Greek mythology. Human heroes and gods fight against devils and monsters. Today, from Paradise Island, Princess Diana was battling the ugliness of the human heart. Well known. Theater critics expressed their admiration. Superheroes will become a social phenomenon. They may not represent the law, and they may not be understood by people, but their existence is meaningful. A certain star preaches, brothers, it will be on the shelves at 12 noon. Please make a first order. Celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. Chapter 67. If God comes, how can we overcome him? On shelves in the early morning. Please order F. Superhero. This is a special topic. It's only 2006, 2 years before the man proclaims himself Iron Man. And Levi proposed this concept in advance, which can be said to have caused quite a stir. In fact, the world was not without special people before that, such as X-Men. However, the identity of the X-Men is awkward, mutant. This is an existence that is rejected, or even hated by many people. And they really deserve it. Ability awakening is unstable. Maybe my child is doing well in class, but the classmate next to me is awakening, sneezes, and a classroom is gone. The image is special, except for a very small number of alpha level mutants. Most of the mutants are more or less different. The image is strange or outright ugly. It is difficult for you to treat them as normal people. Excellent. Yes, being too good is also a disadvantage. Mutant is a species that is completely superior to ordinary people. They are not mutation products, but genetic engineering products created by the cosmic celestial group for the purpose of studying the evolution of life. They have been at the forefront of evolution, so mutants have many advantages over ordinary people. Be smarter, stronger, and even live longer, and human beings are a kind of existence that is very good at jealousy. However, the superhero introduced by Levi this time is not someone else, but the existence from ancient times and mythology. Diana is a demigod. Her father is Zeus, and her mother is Hippolyta. In Greek mythology, demigods are usually synonymous with heroes, such as Hercules. They were heroes, but this time, they became superheroes. Coupled with the setting of handsome men and beautiful women, Apollo and Diana, from their looks to their figures, to their actions, you can't find any flaws. People will be jealous of beings who are better than themselves, but they will only look up to beings who are too much better than themselves. This is different from Superman. Superman is equally good, but there are many people who reject Superman. This is because Superman is an alien, theoretically the same as mutant, and belongs to the same category. And Diana and Apollo belong to the mythical figures, and they are the stars that we have chased and praised in ancient times. So, I have to say, the card that Levi pulled out works surprisingly well. On the other side of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury and the others watched the movie copied from the cinema in front of them. So, we have to study how to deal with, Apollo. Several elite agents glanced at each other, not daring to say more. Only one 8th level agent, Hand, was still speaking constantly. Sir, although I know there are some things we shouldn't say, the point is, we are S.H.I.E.L.D. We are the most powerful intelligence agency in the world. Our function should be to protect national security, not to go to the movies all day long. Research how to deal with the monsters in the movie. Yes, I know, we met zombies at the beginning, but that time, it has been proved that it was the illusion of the mutant, not a real zombie. As for the shape-shifting King Kong, as for this, the sun god Apollo, sir, do you really think we should study how to deal with them? Agent Hand stared closely at her boss. She is not a person who is afraid of levels. If she were, she would not become an 8th level agent as a woman, which is 2 levels higher than Phil Coulson today. And in fact, they graduated from S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy in the same class, and when Hand spoke out what she and others were thinking, not only her, but everyone looked at Nick Fury, waiting for his explanation and answer, and the result also satisfied them enough. Hand, there is nothing wrong with your doubts. In fact, this is a confidential matter. However, all of you here are the backbone of S.H.I.E.L.D. I will generously share it with you. Nick Fury's one eye scanned the faces of the surrounding agents, and then landed on the face of his most trusted Phil Coulson. Remember, every movie of this guy comes out in the future. You have to study it, just because. This is the answer. Nick Fury mobilized his authority, and soon, a video appeared in front of everyone. This is the last message from the Romanov agent, and now, she has betrayed. This news is also surprising. Natasha Romanoff is the most famous agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. She is not only beautiful, but she also has outstanding strength. It can be said that all the male agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., as long as they can make changes, have regarded her as the lover of their dreams, while the female agents basically regard her as their idol. Like her, become the top agent and she actually betrayed. Crack, click, in. The video, Under the Darkness of Night, the shape-shifting and attack of the Bumblebee surprised everyone. Natasha Romanoff next to him made the video very real. Then, a red Panamera rushed towards the building. After completing the transformation, he punched through the meeting room, and then rolled and landed in the air with Natasha Romanoff. He did not forget to turn his head to make up 2 shots. The chic movements and smooth posture made people wonder if they were watching a blockbuster movie or not watching the second part of shape-shifting King Kong. Everything is real, or it will become real because of him. So hurry up and study for me. If the God of War comes, how can we defeat The last chapter before release point, it's on the shelves in the early morning, and the 10th watch breaks out. Please make your first order. Celebrate the 7-day long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. List testimonials. I don't have much to say. I'm already an old fritter. Neither will it be miserable, nor will it be sensational. Can only rely on updates and stability to barely make ends meet. The author is very patient. Please rest assured to subscribe. Celebrate the 7-day long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. Chapter 68. The sun is not powerful enough. How about adding Kryptonian blood? Seeking support 40. Treat me naive. Levi, who was editing the video, sneered as he tapped the keyboard like flying fingers. On another screen at the side, the situation in the SHIELD meeting room is played. After watching the video about Bumblebee and Phantom, the agents over there became interested and began to mobilize their thinking and think of various methods. However, all of these were seen by Levi. Soundwave is Cybertron's intelligence master, Decepticon strategist, and Megatron's most capable subordinate. He once hacked into the global network, making the information integration operations that the Miami is proud of useless. And the seemingly tight firewall of SHIELD, to him, is as fragile as a blank piece of paper, without any secrets at all. Even if it's the situation in the core conference room, Levi can watch it whenever he wants. Nick Fury didn't know it at all. They were happily discussing how to deal with Levi, and Levi had already seen it. Looking at the balance in the system, it has been almost 2 weeks since it was released, and the box office is about to reach 500 million. This figure has doubled several times compared to the change. Moreover, Levi also got good news. Because the main theme of this film plan is the whole process, handsome men and women, and with an anti-war core, this film has been successful. After passing the review, it entered the world's largest box office market in the East. For this reason, Levi did not hesitate to spend a lot of money and invested tens of millions of funds for publicity. He didn't care if the money was spent. As long as he had data, money was nothing to him. He rented the jazz to Tony in exchange for 10% of the shares of the Stark Group, which is already worth tens of billions of dollars. And the internet company he started with the Red Queen has also started to go online. He has recruited a lot of talents. He can command remotely on the internet and hand over the developed products that should appear in the future to them. And then they were in charge of post operations. In the first angel round valuation alone, venture capital firms valued him $1 billion, but he didn't choose to raise money. Therefore, he is not short of money, he only lacks box office data now. That's all. Regarding the discussion of SHIELD, Levi didn't take it seriously. Although SHIELD has a lot of whole cards, it depends on who it is compared with. Well, he admits that SHIELD does have something that can threaten him. For example, Nick Fury's communicator that can call Aunt Marvel. Levi thought of Captain Marvel, which hadn't been released before his time travel. Although he hadn't seen the movie, he still knew the trailer, and he knew the plot very thoroughly through the script. Therefore, he is very clear about the strength of Captain Marvel, who is known as the strongest hero of Marvel and the hope of the whole village on Earth. However, these are not problems. The sun's power is not enough. How about adding a Kryptonian blood? Besides, I have no flaws. I'm not a Kryptonian. Looking at the script in his hand, this is the next movie Levi plans to shoot. After Resident Evil 2, the upcoming filming will not be Transform 2, but Superman Man of Steel. To be honest, Levi has too many subjects to shoot, and there are a lot of things that can make money. The Fast and Furious series prepared for Quicksilver has not yet moved, but recently he has become obsessed with racing. For him, for a speedster, only racing events that are also at the peak of speed are suitable for him to participate in, and can arouse his interest. Therefore, he has not yet become a movie star, but he has already become a racing driver. Naturally, Levi will not stop it, but actively promote it. In the future, he will star in Fast and Furious, and maybe he can rely on his fame to promote it. What about the box office? Speaking of Man of Steel, Levi is not going to shoot a live-action movie, but plans to make an animated film first. He plans to use Superman animation to open up the market first. Levi company first set foot in the multimedia field, and various video websites and social platforms are the main directions of his network company. And the prospects are naturally hot, and that is the industry that will make the most money in the future. The famous YouTube, China's large-scale same-sex dating platform Bumblebee, and various video sites that every internet boss has a hand in have promoted the development of many online variety shows and online dramas at present. The online video platform he developed has nearly 10 million registered users less than a year after its launch, and the highest video hits have already exceeded 100 million, and it was only the end of 2005. After 10 years, it is almost easy for Levi to use the internet to promote the box office of offline movies. Therefore, what he is producing now is a series of animations, and the first one to start is naturally DC's top player, Superman. Moreover, his products such as animation and TV series can also obtain the box office income calculated by the system. According to the actual profit obtained, it will be calculated as the corresponding box office and included in the system. Definitely, the most important thing is that Levi can get the corresponding redemption list, which is the key. Even if he is filming a TV series and doesn't earn a penny, he can still use points to redeem the things in it. Celebrate the 7-day-long holiday of National Day and enjoy reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, October 1st to October 7th. Chapter 69. I can brag about this for 1,000 years. Haha. Seeking the First Order. Outside of the busy work of Levi and S.H.I.E.L.D., in a mysterious space, a blonde man is sitting on a colorful bridge, drinking with his good friends. Is there anything interesting recently? You know, Healdum, always invincible, and I'm bored too. Looking up, he poured a bottle of wine into his mouth. Thor wiped the wine from his mouth and looked at his best friend, who put the Excalibur aside. Heimdall is still wearing a mighty and extraordinary armor, but, after all, he is an Asgardian who never leaves work. Definitely, it is an Asgardian who would come to Asgard for nothing to find death. Is he impatient? What's the name of that movie you showed me last time? Donkey Kong? Those big guys are a bit like Nidoi's goblin technology. It's called Shappa Shifting King Kong. But, speaking of interesting things, the director of that Shappa Shifting King Kong released another movie. I guarantee you will like it very much. As he said that, Heimdall waved his arms, and then, the multicolored lights formed a gorgeous screen in front of them, and Wonder Woman, which was currently being screened on the Earth, appeared in front of them. Oh, Paradise Island? Amazons, I think I've heard of it. It was only at the beginning that Thor found doubts. As the gods of the Norse gods, since Thor can exist, why can't the Greek gods? In this world, the gods on the holy mountain of Olympus also exist, and even Gia is very familiar with some of them. PFFT. Haha, Ares turned into a big villain? Oh, I must laugh at him next time I see him. My god, this is really funny. Keep reading. And when Queen Hippolyta tells Diana the story of the past, Thor can't stand it anymore. Thor is the god of war in Asgard, and Ares is the god of war in Olympus. Well, Thor's priesthood is not war, but thunder, but Tyr, the god of war, has already died in battle point, so it is not an exaggeration to say that Thor is the god of war in Asgard. And his friendship with Ares stems from the fact that the two reckless men did not know each other. But now, seeing Ares suddenly turned into a big villain who bullies a group of women, Shiana's heart is not so funny anymore. Thor, be quiet. I don't know when Loki, Sif and others came over and sat around behind Heimdall. Sif was the closest, because Heimdall was her big brother. Hearing Thor's wild laughter, the story was almost interrupted. Sif was furious and quickly stopped talking. The rest of the people also looked at Thor angrily, although they were all very happy. Wow, this lady Diana is so beautiful. Is she really not a goddess, but a native of Midgard? Among the three warriors, Fandral, the first playboy of Asgard, fell intoxicated watching the beautiful Diana. Although these humans are weak, they are brave, and their cruelty is even more terrifying than the most terrifying giant horned bird, grumbled the plump for stag. The plot continued to unfold, and at the end, Steve, played by Levi, suddenly broke out and revealed his identity as Apollo. Due to the war, Ares' supernatural power was so huge that Diana couldn't defeated him alone. He came out and saved Diana, but he was severely injured, and the possessed mortal body disappeared. Well, what a touching story. Sif has red eyes, a hoarse voice, tall and handsome, as bright as the sun. In the darkest moment of human history, when the First World War was the most intense, he still bloomed with his personality charm and warmed others, asking for flowers. Why do I suddenly feel that Apollo is not so annoying anymore? Thor sighed. As a representative of the wild faction, Thor naturally couldn't talk to a sunny guy like Apollo. In fact, there is only one possibility for a man who is not jealous of Apollo. He is gay. He is not jealous of Apollo. He likes this sunny god point just like no woman can't be jealous of Aphrodite. As the goddess of beauty and sex, Venus has the most beautiful appearance and sexiest body in the world. Even her uncle and elder brother will be attracted to her. Zero, however, Ares became the big villain and was beaten up by his big brother and sister. I can definitely brag about this for 1,000 years. Hahaha. Thor's hearty laughter spread throughout Asgard, and soon, across the vast realm of God. And on Earth, discussions about Wonder Woman continue. Did Ares curse the human race, or is human nature inherently evil? Were we really beautiful before, without hatred and jealousy? The superhero saved the world. This reminds me of the comics I read when I was very young. The Captain of the United States, the man who beat Hitler more than 200 times, is he the real superhero? And we need superheroes. This director can always surprise us. Resident Evil has made us wary of science and technology. We have developed countless technologies, but these technologies are likely to become the Black Hand that exterminates human beings. And shifting King Kong give us a new way of thinking. Do aliens exist? And how do they hide in human beings? And now, the topic of superhero is equally hot. What do you think? So, 1. Chapter 70 Superman of the Silver Age, 2 billion. It's so dark. I see a hammer. Telling the Queen to turn off the TV, Levi shook his head. In this world, there will never be a shortage of people who are full and have nothing to do. He is just making a movie. As for the discussion for so long, if you have the time, you might as well go to the movie theater twice to save money at the box office. This kind of meaningless discussion may be of great help to his popularity, but in fact, it will not improve the movie box office that much. Point it's just that the subject matter is special. Point has the Fast and Furious series ever caused any discussion? The shifting King Kong series did not have such a messy discussion in the original world because the alien theme was almost ruined. Point. But why not make money all over the world? The one that has sparked discussion is the superhero series, but the audience doesn't care who is right and who is wrong, whether superhero is useful or not. They just go to the cinema for fun. Point. No way. Recently Levi pays more attention to box office data. Point. It has been 3 months since Wonder Woman was released. In North America, it has already begun to go offline on a large scale. Some Southeast Asian countries released it later. In addition, the number of films they import each year is limited, so they are still showing. However, Levi points are still a few million short of reaching 1.5 billion. More importantly, he originally thought that, if he had a surplus, he might be able to exchange for the Superman that had already appeared on the exchange list, but now it seems impossible. First of all, he only has 1.5 billion points, and is a few million worse. Secondly, Superman is too expensive. 2 billion. Why? Why is it only 2 billion? As a god, Apollo is only 1.5 billion. The Superman set by the host is the Superman of the Silver Age, with unlimited potential, 2 billion, because the host needs to absorb solar energy to grow by itself after conversion. Otherwise the price will be higher. Okay, blame me for being cheap. Shrugged his shoulders. This is indeed made by Levi himself. Superman also has different levels of strength in the settings of different periods. For example, at the beginning, Superman only ran fast, jumped high, had great strength, and could not fly. Later, in the Silver Age of the United States comics, Superman was already invincible in the setting point, and later, in the setting of the movie version of Man of Steel, Superman's strength was greatly weakened again, but this time everyone was weakened. After all, it was too strong, and the special effects of the movie could not be displayed. Although Levi did not set the version that is directly invincible, the Superman in this animation is still a bit too strong. For example, the weakness of kryptonite is gone, and the weakness of the red sun is gone. The speed is close to the speed of light, and the history is almost endless and many more. But unexpectedly, the system still judged that it was too powerful and gave it a price increase. Okay, anyway, Apollo's divine power is enough, and it's still growing. Time passed day by day. Levi watched his points on the system interface increase little by little, and he realized that the distance to exchange for divine power should be fast. So the action of collecting Hydra information on the sound wave side also began to accelerate. The data of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been deciphered in large quantities. Apart from occasionally making some quantities animations for Levi, the Red Queen devotes all her energy to analyzing the data sent back by the sound waves. The high-intensity work in the past few months has naturally yielded fruitful results. Although Hydra not only involves S.H.I.E.L.D., but also involves every corner of the entire human society. Hydra must use the skin of S.H.I.E.L.D. to do many things. So, even just analyzing S.H.I.E.L.D.'s data gives Levi an extremely long list. So much. Looking at the list of dozens of G's in his hand and the detailed information of each person, Levi only felt a little headache. There are so many people. Matt, are you full of food? What are you doing to rebel if you have nothing to do? Scratching his head, looking at the various information that kept flashing in front of him, there are many military and political officials or business elites that Levi met after he came to this world. But here comes the problem. There are so many people, they will not get together, and they may even be scattered far away. So if you don't want to cut off one head and grow two heads, you don't want the Hydra embers to extinguish, then Levi has to eradicate them all. But how easy is it? No, it's very troublesome. Putting the information aside, I looked at the points that I have already raised to 1.4 billion. It is now the end of the show, and the box office has dropped sharply. After all, everyone who wants to watch it has basically seen it. If I want to solve them, I will do it myself. ZODs. So I'm so busy? Well, my braised egghead. Levi thought for a while, and finally said that he should deal with those bosses honestly and cut off the snake's head. As for whether the snake's head will grow out of the body after that, it should be left to professionals to deal with. Hey, Natasha Romanoff, come back for dinner tonight. It's nothing. I want you to contact Cyclops. I have something to do with him. A call was made to Natasha Romanoff, who was out shopping with Sky and Wanda, and Levi continued back to work in the cold. On the outskirts of New York, underground in an abandoned military camp, in a special experiment, a stern-looking S.H.I.E.L.D. commando took the uniquely shaped gun from the researcher and pointed it at the test target in front. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 71, Rubik's Cube Energy Weapon, Zala's Legacy. Boom. A blue laser shot directly from the uniquely shaped muzzle of the gun, with almost no recoil, which made this 100-fighter elite a little unaccustomed to it. But before he had time to be shocked by the performance of the gun, all he could see was before him. The target, made of metal, was dissolved almost instantly, and then the blue beam of light pierced fiercely on the wall behind the target, making a deafening sound. Omegas. Looking at the scene in front of him, the vicious commando couldn't help blurting out, "What the hell is this gun? This is so fiercer than a howitzer." At least, he has never seen a gun that can kill a metal target weighing half a ton with one shot. Rumlow, this is your new weapon. Using this weapon, do you have the confidence to deal with those disgusting alien robots? Pierce appeared behind the commando. Rumlow, this is his henchman. S.H.I.E.L.D. is a special organization. In theory, agents have a certain amount of force point. However, agents who are proficient in various skills are still inferior to fighters, who are only responsible for fighting. Therefore, the commando is necessary. As a violent organization of S.H.I.E.L.D., Pierce has been infiltrating the commando. Hydra once worked with the Nazis, so he knows very well that in this world, nothing counts, even if it is money. Only those who have real power have the right to speak. The Jews were once so rich that they controlled more than 60% of the money transactions in that country, but under the genocide, they could only run around in embarrassment and were slaughtered wantonly by the workers and small capitalists they once exploited. If we can all be equipped with such weapons, I have the confidence to smash them all. Rumlow looked at the opposite wall. The thick concrete wall was smashed like a piece of paper. Even if it was replaced with an alloy, this level of attack was enough to penetrate the frontal armor of main battle tank. The future Crossbones has an excited smile on his face. He has been longing for a good matchup for a long time. After getting Rumlow's affirmative answer, Pierce finally breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he can fight, he won't have to worry about being threatened anymore. As long as he gets rid of that guy, it doesn't matter. Even if the information is released, he can rely on my own wrist and relationship network will suppress everything. The big deal is just change to a S.H.I.E.L.D. director. Dr. Zola's technology is very good. I need to see an armed force as soon as possible. I must not allow people who can threaten national security to continue to exist in our country at any time. The order was issued. The production capacity was released instantly. A set of matching technologies was extracted, and the production of enhanced armor matched with energy guns also began. Decades ago, Dr. Zola had already perfected related technologies, although Dr. Zola showed that he has died of cancer, but only a few Hydra know that Dr. Zola, Bev's consciousness is still preserved by them in the computer, and they can use these technologies at will point in the evening. After dinner, after letting Wanda and Sky go to bed early, Levi took Natasha Romanoff to have a conversation with her. And Natasha Romanoff, who hated Hydra, agreed without any hesitation. Then he called Nick Fury. "Nick, there's something I have to tell you." Looking at Nick Fury in white pajamas and a nightcap on the screen, Levi could barely hold back his smile. The other party was obviously confused. Levi used the exclusive Sonic communication network. Whether it was Nick Fury or the president, you can call your private number whenever you want. "Tell me, what is it that made you call in the middle of the night?" Levi lives on the west coast, and Nick Fury is in the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters tree-curved wing, which is Washington DC, and that is the east coast. The two are talking across the entire United States, spanning several time zones, so that Lewi's side has just finished eating, while Nick Fury's side is already going to bed in the middle of the night. Seeing Nick Fury sitting up, the smile on Natasha Romanoff's face disappeared and gradually became heavy, and then she told her all the information about Hydra. And the more he listened, the heavier Nick Fury's complexion became. "Wait, you don't think that if I hear you tell a story, I will believe your fantasies? That can be called a fantasy?" Nick Fury said suddenly. "You definitely won't believe it. You're Nick Fury. But don't believe it. Don't you know to look it up?" "And who told you we're just talking?" Levi leaned in front of the camera and took over the conversation. Then, a section of selected videos and documents unfolded in front of Nick Fury's eyes. "See, these are all evidence, so don't sleep." Director Nick Fury, hurry up and prepare rat poison. The rats in the house are so big that the rice is about to be eaten up. I don't know. Chapter 72. Both sides want to go to war, agreed Nick Fury. How does Nick Fury do it? Levi doesn't care anymore. This guy is still very capable. S.H.I.E.L.D. was not as arrogant as it is now when it was first formed. Under the pressure of the FBI and CIA, the status of this suddenly established intelligence organization pretty embarrassing. It wasn't until Pierce gave way to Nick Fury that he now dominates the world, and in the future it will become a giant organization that once held various supernatural powers. What kind of intelligence organization can wholesale the helicarrier, even if it's an aircraft carrier in the sea? It's not something you want to have, right? At least the KGB and the CIA have not had this kind of treatment, and they can be transferred casually. The aircraft carrier fleet is okay. However, at its peak, S.H.I.E.L.D. was even able to take over the defense mission. These are all thanks to Nick Fury's superist. He made S.H.I.E.L.D. stronger and stronger. After talking to Nick Fury and passing some information on to him, Levi fell asleep with his arms around Natasha Romanoff point, and Nick Fury couldn't sleep because of his sudden gossip. Damn it. The black face was already serious, but now it was even more gloomy. Looking at the shocking information on his tablet, the anger in Nick Fury's heart was like a volcano that had been suppressed for a long time and was about to erupt. However, he knew that it was useless for him to break out now. Pierce had been in S.H.I.E.L.D. for so long. Now that he was in trouble, he almost didn't have to think about the end, and it was almost certain to be cleared. But if he wants to bring down Pierce and eradicate the Hydra personnel in S.H.I.E.L.D., he has to be tolerant, and he has to pretend to be the same as usual, without any flaws. That guy, no wonder he tried his best to push me to the top position. It turned out that he wanted to get out of his shell, let me attract attention on the one hand, and expand the scale of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the other hand, while he secretly developed Hydra people. Nick Fury secretly hated him. He used to regard Pierce as a good friend and as a bull who discovered himself, but he didn't expect that he became a pawn in the conspiracy. However, now there is an extra hand outside the chessboard. Pierce, what will you do? Early the next morning, Nick Fury went to work as usual, but when he got to the office and couldn't sit still, he saw Pierce running into his office. Nick, I have something to tell you. Can you come? Nick Fury's heart skipped a beat, but his face remained calm. He just nodded and followed Pierce all the way. Electronic equipment, take them all down. Some shielding measures are needed here. After his own information was leaked, Pierce has realized that the network, as well as electronic equipment, are unreliable. Therefore, he specially prepared a special laboratory. Everything in the laboratory uses a local area network and is not connected to the outside world. At the same time, quite large and powerful signal shielding methods are arranged around the laboratory. Moreover, all external electronic devices will be scanned, and any mobile phones, cameras and the like will not be brought in, and even paper file carriers are used inside. The person who designed this laboratory assured Pierce that even if the other party was a shapper-shifting King Kong, it would never be possible to detect any information inside. Here is a laboratory that I secretly prepared, and now we are fully prepared. Pierce pointed to the members of the assault team who were testing new firearms in the laboratory. The firearms in their hands were all powerful energy firearms, derived from the special technology obtained by Dr. Zola from the Cosmic Cube. Asking for flowers? Pierce, I don't understand what you mean. Nick Fury was a little surprised. He naturally knew the weapons in those people's hands. This is a secret of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it is a secret with a high degree of secrecy. However, before, some scientists of S.H.I.E.L.D. tried to imitate and plagiarize Dr. Zola's technology, such as Howard Stark, but, without exception, they all failed. However, Howard invented the arc reactor for this reason. Nick, that's a sword of Damocles. You know, what we use this weapon against is those alien robots. We have to deal with them. There can be no such threat within the territory of the United States. Zero. Are you going to war? This time Nick Fury was really shocked. If he was just surprised by these suddenly completed energy weapons, he even had a feeling of sudden realization. After all, Dr. Zola is Hydra. This kind of technology, Pierce, a descendant of Hydra, owns, and not surprisingly. However, after hearing Pierce's words, Nick Fury was shocked. He suddenly thought of Levi's phone call last night. Levi didn't say it sooner or later, but he just said it now, obviously because Levi also has thoughts about Pierce and the others. Unexpectedly, the two coincided with each other and were ready to fight, but it seemed that Pierce was more fully prepared. Perhaps they should be reminded that I don't want to see Natasha Romanoff become a real widow. Also, this will take the opportunity to get rid of some of these Hydra people. Thinking of this, Nick Fury nodded. No problem, Pierce, but we need a better plan. Chapter 73 I'm the God of Light. Haha, Nick, I knew that with your temperament, you would definitely choose this way. Well, I leave this place to you. After all, this is your territory. Pierce patted Nick Fury on the shoulder, then smiled and left. Nick Fury turned his head to look at the agents and researchers in the room. His face remained calm, but the murderous intent in his heart was boiling like magma. Treat me as a chess piece. Let's see who is the chess player. At night, as an encrypted message came out, soon, Levi drove Natasha Romanoff from the mansion to the city of Los Angeles to participate in a relatively large variety show, and further promote the Wonder Woman movie. Point after all, this kind of 570 thing is going to be filmed for the second part, and pave the way for the follow-up Justice League universe. So the current propaganda cannot stop. And after a busy night, enjoying a not so bad candlelight dinner in the city, the two of them drove back in their yellow Camaro sports car. The target has set off. In the city of Los Angeles, the person monitoring Levi movement sent out a signal. The target is about to reach the designated location. All teams pay attention. Rumlow held the night vision device, looked ahead, and reported the location again. There was no way, because the high-tech equipment was easy to be hacked, so they hardly had any electronic equipment on this trip. Even for communication, they used old-fashioned ones. The mobile walkie-talkie has an effective distance of no more than 5 kilometers, but it also avoids the possibility of being eavesdropped. Target appears. Attack. Rumlow roared, then raised the energy gun in his arms, pointed at a yellow sports car that appeared at the intersection in the distance, and fired a dazzling beam of light. For a moment, beams of light filled the sky, and countless artillery fires were released on the sports cars passing by on the road like rain. Crack, click. With super fast shaper shifting and flexible speed, Bumblebee completed his arming in an instant, and then jumped into the distance with Natasha Romanoff in his arms, while at the same place, Levi stood there quietly, looking at the direction from which countless light beams strike. Oh, what a pity. If it was a day ago, this kind of attack would still have some effect on me. Levi shook himself, and then, a soft flame appeared around him. I'm the god of light. In an instant, Levi seemed to be ignited, and endless rays of light bloomed around him, like a sun, rising from here. In an instant, this piece of heaven and earth was illuminated, returning to daylight, and the stars and bright moon in the sky were instantly obscured from light. Because, before the sun, all the stars will be eclipsed. Boom. Like a balloon bursting, Levi opened his arms. Countless energy bullets fell on his body, and then, in the next second, all the energy, all the light, spread out from his body to the surroundings. What? A howl of misery resounded all around, as if this was a screaming competition. Whoever screamed more miserable would be the final champion. However, it was only because of the pain, their screams, because they launched a wrong attack on the wrong person. What? Rumlow covered his face. He reacted promptly, closed his eyes, and then quickly covered them with his hands. However, that hot light, like the sun appearing in front of your face, caught him. All the exposed skin was roasted, and he could even smell the meaty smell from his own face. Damn, damn. Rumlow roared in his heart, but he was helpless. This powerful energy appeared so quickly and so strangely. They were fully prepared. Dozens of energy guns were aimed at the car, but in the next second, they become targets. The sun is the source of all life on the earth. The sun brings energy to the earth and the growth of all things. However, the sun can also destroy people. When you are too close to the sun, it is like moths to the flame. The final result, only to be turned into ashes. Levi's voice appeared in the endless light. At this moment, he is the sun. He is the god of the sun, the embodiment of the scorching sun, the lord of light. And now, he is punishing those villains who dare to offend him. 40 people, 4 fully staffed assault teams, each with an energy gun. Pierce's arm is big enough. Levi chuckled, and then, the light gradually faded, and the roar of the engine sounded again. Notify Nick Fury, let him do it, as soon as possible. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that I won't accidentally hurt. Levi looked at Natasha Romanoff in the passenger seat, and said softly. His smile warmed people's hearts like sunshine, and in the endless night behind them, 40 bodies that had been burned to ashes showed that those who did not know what is the end of the existence of life and death. Nick Fury, who had been waiting for a long time, stood on the tree-curved wing building. Behind him was a Winter Soldier Bucky with a silver mask and a brand new dress at 3.2. Drip, drip. Nick, they've already taken care of it. The rest is up to you. Nick Fury turned, looked at Bucky, and nodded. Do it. This was destined to be a bloody night. Although they couldn't wipe out the entire Hydra lurking inside S.H.I.E.L.D., they were enough to catch many important people when they were caught off guard. Thanks for your support. Wash and sleep. First 6 chapters continue tomorrow. Chapter 74 maybe. Follow the director's order. To carry out the task, irrelevant people get out of the way. Equipped with the brand new mechanical arm provided by Levi, it is not difficult for Levi, who has mastered some subterranean technology, and Bucky with this arm obviously doubles his combat effectiveness. His consciousness has already been awakened by Levi. At this moment, it is a good time for him to take revenge on Hydra. It happened that Nick Fury was short of manpower due to the fall of all commandos, so he was mobilized by Levi. At this moment, Bucky is leading a team of masked team members, who are actually a team of black market mercenaries recruited by Nick Fury, who are hunting down the left behind agents in the office area. Hey, what the hell is going on? An agent yelled, but Bucky just glanced at him, and then continued his behavior, pulling an agent straight away from him. This is my order. I got the news that some agents are spies lurking inside us. 14. Nick Fury appeared here, and his appearance caused many agents who wanted to resist to stop, watching helplessly as the companion who was chatting and laughing with him just now was taken away. Don't worry, I will give you an answer soon, but for now, work together. The authority Nick Fury had built up over the years settled the group, and Nick Fury exchanged glances with Bucky as he walked by. The operation went very smoothly. They deliberately chose the time period at night, when there were fewer agents. First of all, the headquarters and office area must be controlled. Otherwise, any random situation here will cause huge amounts of losses, and once the headquarters are under control, the next step is to clean up the outside agents and branch bases one by one. For example, the Los Angeles branch. At this moment, in the city of Los Angeles, Levi and Natasha Romanoff, who had turned around, smiled at each other. They returned to the city and came to a very important place for Natasha Romanoff. Division of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was here that Natasha Romanoff had no choice but to defect from S.H.I.E.L.D. because of Pierce's persecution, but also because of this, she was able to abandon everything in the past and come to Levi's side. You were a little wronged here last time, so I think I should take you here to vent your anger. Almost all of the Los Angeles branch is Pierce's people, even if some people are not. But in the case of the leader has fallen, even if the remaining people are not Hydra, how can they be better? Oh, is it? I think it's better to let me do it myself, if I want to vent my anger. Natasha Romanoff curled the corner of her mouth, stuck in front of Levi, and gave him one. Over there, the Bumblebee that rushed over had already opened the door. Watching the fireworks, the piercing alarm bells rang through the night sky. Countless people, the agents rushed out. Natasha Romanoff pushed Levi, and then rushed forward like a gust of wind. The most fundamental function of the sun is light, and besides that, the biggest function is probably life. Levi mixed private goods into his ability, and it was very serious private goods. Otherwise, he is also a god. Dazu and Megatron are also listed in the list of gods in the shaper-shifting King Kong universe, a person who has saved countless times the universe, a universe that was almost destroyed countless times. But why is Levi magic power so much more expensive than this? It all boils down to the fact that Levi's script actually had something mixed in with it when the movie was being shot. These things don't even need to be shown in the movie, just need to be hinted, mentioned, or shown in the planned follow-up movie. Then in his redemption list, these will have. For example, in Greek mythology, the sun god is not actually Apollo. Apollo is the god of art. Most people think that Apollo is the sun god. For the consideration of the film, Levi must use the name Apollo, among other things. How many people have heard the name of the real sun god Helios? Then, the gods of Olympus can be said to be the most complete and detailed god line of gods. The 12 main gods perform their own duties. The key is that there are a bunch of gods with various names under them. The priesthood that belonged to them was taken away. For example, a sun god assigned the priesthoods of dawn, light, dusk and so on. In Egypt next door, Ra is also the god of the sun. What is his name? First is the Lord of all things, then the Lord of life, the Lord of the sky, the Lord of order, and the Lord of time. They are also the symbol of the sun. On the Olympus side, 650 is really miserable. However, Levi reckons that, if what he does is pull, the points needed for redemption may go directly to 3 or 4 billion, maybe even 5 billion. But now, after he has streamlined the sun god power, he has discarded more expensive options such as order and time, leaving only the more practical light and life, which is why he has the price of 1.5 billion. Only then was it possible for him to redeem it now. And now the effect is reflected. Levi stood at the door and looked ahead quietly. Natasha Romanoff was dressed very smartly, a pair of denim trousers, which clearly highlighted the slender legs and the upright buttocks that made him daydream, and the upper body was in a very casual t-shirt and a small vest jacket, but that jacket is now lying in Levi's hands. She is ready to fight. This is not surprising, when Levi infused her with life power and increased her physical strength several times. Her exuberant energy needed to be vented, or it's better to let her vent on X. Chapter 75 Hydra in full swing. With a sharp whip kick, Natasha Romanoff kicked a security guard into the air, and then, with a quick and continuous attack, repelled the other two armed men who came. She didn't even bother to snatch their guns. The surging power in her body gave her the urge to blow everything up. She needs to vent, not because she was wronged here before, but because she hates S.H.I.E.L.D. She hates Hydra. Once upon a time, she thought that her coming to S.H.I.E.L.D. was the right thing, a right choice. Her dedication, her efforts, were really doing good deeds and atonement for the past. God knows how many sins she committed back then. The people trained by the Red House were never good people, and they would do whatever it takes to achieve their goals. She didn't perform many tasks, but, in order to survive, she was stained with blood more than any other. And she thought joining S.H.I.E.L.D. would make up for that. It's you guys who ruined my dream. Damn it. Terrible. Power erupted, and the full strength of life made Natasha Romanoff's various physical statistics almost soar to the limit that her body could bear. She didn't have to worry about getting hurt or lack of stamina. She could do it with every punch. Every time she jumps, she can do it like a desperate leap in a desperate situation. This made her move like a gust of wind, comparable to the agility of a gymnastics champion, allowing her to come and go freely even in the middle of a hail of bullets, and her high concentration of attention allowed her to notice any attack from behind and react in the blink of an eye. In response, the small dagger and continuous fast legs became her powerful weapons, which could kill her with a single blow. Whoa. That's a bit less like Wonder Woman, a bit like Killing Bill. The power of light covers the light. Levi can see everything inside, even if he stands outside. Definitely, he still followed behind Natasha Romanoff, watching her vent himself, and also to prevent some possible accidents. Seeing Natasha Romanoff attacking so fiercely, Levi knew that she was releasing her heart, which is a good thing. Depression can lead people astray, psychological problems, but the most serious problem. However, while paying attention to Natasha Romanoff's breakthrough, Levi is also paying attention to other things. Before, his perspective was still that of a normal person, but now, after spending 1.5 billion points, he has successfully obtained a far-reaching ability beyond normal people. This branch is located in Los Angeles, the second largest city in the United States, and one of the top 10 cities in the world. The S.H.I.E.L.D. branch is very important even for S.H.I.E.L.D., which has a big family and a big business. Pierce worked hard to build this place into his utopia, and as a bridgehead for his evil plan, it is naturally impossible for this place to be as simple as a branch. Whoa, look what I found. Levi quickly found the underground warehouse. The heavy concrete wall was several meters thick, enough to isolate any abnormal signals or some kind of radiation point, and here is a storage place for the item named 084 in S.H.I.E.L.D. Item 084. This is definitely not a disinfectant, but S.H.I.E.L.D's name for items of unknown origin, which are named after Thor's hammer, the cosmic cube, the thing Levi is holding in his hand, and the woman named Sky in Levi House Point. Yes, Sky is also an item of 084. When S.H.I.E.L.D. brought her out of Xiang province, there was no living person in the whole village except her, and her father killed her because Hydra captured her mother. Well, that was a shit show. But now Levi has got something very important to Sky Point obelisk. Putting the obelisk carefully into the box, Levi plans to take her to a foreign country after a while to complete the alien conversion ceremony. Are you finished? Watching Levi carefully put away the obelisk, Natasha Romanoff suddenly appeared, holding a piece of table leg in her hand. Seeing that Levi was finished, she threw the table leg away and told him shoulder away, and S.H.I.E.L.D. got the news almost at the same time. But, seeing Levi and Natasha Romanoff walking away on the screen, Pierce's face was full of anger. However, at the same time, he discovered that at SHIELD headquarters, his eyes and ears were almost completely lost. In fact, if he hadn't seen the opportunity quickly and noticed the abnormality at the first time, he might have already been captured. So, Nick Fury, that son of a bitch, got to work with him, attacked. At the same time, cut off his staff in the headquarters with one knife, and cut off his biggest reliance in the United States with the other knife, saying that they did not communicate well. Pierce absolutely did not believe it, and Nick Fury could not have no reason. There is only one possibility, that is, that nasty guy leaked that Lee's information to Nick Fury. Contact them for me, contact everyone. Since you want to play, then I will play bigger with you. Pierce's roar echoed in the room, and beside him, a six-rooted clean agent, Jazz Weber, nodded in agreement, and then dialed one after another. Hydra claims to cut off one head and grow two heads, which is due to their special nature. As an evil organization, they are not a unified group. On the contrary, they are very scattered. Although there are not 9 heads, there are really many snake heads. Baron Strucker, Gideon Malik, Lady VIP, Lord Zemo. One by one calls were made, and Pierce's counterattack was about to begin. Chapter 76 at the moment is not a scam. When will it be? Fire, fire me. Fiery missiles were like angry birds, rushing towards the high castle opposite and below. Phil Coulson looked at those evil people wearing ancient Iron Crusade costumes, and the anger in his heart made him shout again, speak out. Hit me hard. It's been more than 3 months since Nick Fury's purge. Today, SHIELD has successfully split, and the new SHIELD headed by Nick Fury and Hydra headed by Pierce are officially at war. Pierce and his team have been running SHIELD for a long time, and they have the support of the rest of the Hydra snakeheads. At first Nick Fury thought that he could win easily, but he didn't expect that when this behemoth was really caught by him, he realized that he had caught it before. It turned out to be just one of its tentacles. That huge amounts of volume like a mountain is shocking. Almost from the start, Nick Fury was at a total disadvantage, and Hydra wasn't going to reason with him, and when things were revealed, Pierce simply disappeared from view, and no one knew where he went. Then, news of the fall came from the SHIELD branches in various places. The Hydra agent, who jumped back, took control of the situation as soon as it came up, and those who favored Nick Fury knew directly that the neutral faction was under their persecution 423 and could not make a deal. Become a member of Hydra with the certificate of honor on the vote. So, in a short period of time, Nick Fury found himself in a situation where Chuja was surrounded by Chuja. The key is that he doesn't have any support yet. Hydra's tentacles are not just as simple as involving SHIELD. The military, political circles, and even shopping malls have their people. When Nick Fury wanted to seek help from the White House, he found that they were already too busy to take care of themselves. The president was exposed to a scandal and fell into crisis. Public relations, state working disappeared one after another. The vice president had accidents frequently, and the senators who usually wavered in the power field suddenly appeared and began to launch an impact on the power of the president. Nick Fury quit. It is impossible to expect a politician to ignore his own safety to help others. For the person in the White House, it is crucial to stabilize his position and keep his votes. Hydra's attack has given him a clue. I'm in a mess. How can I care about the civil strife in SHIELD? However, as the existence that Pierce relies on the most, and then the most feared existence, Nick Fury is naturally not without means. Beefy. In fact, after he found out that something was impossible, he immediately contacted ZHU Fang for help. First of all, he personally went to the Xavier Ability Academy in New York in exchange for Charles' help in the name of rebuilding the X-Men and the price of official support for the Mutant Protection Act. As a result, there were several more generals under him in an instant. Later, he came to Malibu Beach in Los Angeles. In fact, he didn't really want to come here. After all, Levi is behind the push to get to this point. And Levi also has his Los Angeles branch. Well, even though most of the people there are Hydra, but it's still under the SHIELD brand. However, Xavier Academy has been a bit uneasy recently. Magneto has escaped from prison, and Phoenix has disappeared. They can't give themselves much support. Therefore, he could only come to Levi, and Levi did not refuse. Definitely, this is mainly due to his own willingness. On the one hand, he is already on the fence with Hydra. On the other hand, he needs to ensure his own movie box office, and this requires a stable and peaceful environment. You can't count on a war right at your doorstep, and why would anyone want to go to the movies? Levi has long understood that maintaining peace is a prerequisite for his stable growth, which is why he chose to report to Nick Fury in the first place. Because Hydra is a security risk, and they control a large amount of social wealth. Solving them, in a sense, is conducive to the development of the national economy, thereby promoting consumption, and one of the consumption is entertainment consumption. There is another item in entertainment consumption. Movie tickets. With a lot of support, Nick Fury's life is much easier. Although the outbreak of Hydra made his situation still not optimistic, it was much better compared to the situation that was almost overturned before. At least, now he can still do offense and defense. However, the only regret is that Levi help is not free, it's an investment. Nick, I've never been a politician, and, you know, it's you who need combat power now, not me. 17 Levi said with a smile. He's negotiating a deal with Nick Fury. You know, the current shield is not the giant that can casually produce 3 helicarriers in the future. In terms of size, the current shield is actually not much better than the CIA. If it really wants to explode, it has to wait until New York after the war. At that time, the appearance of the alien crisis made the CIA, an intelligence organization that deals with terrestrial crises, look weak or even pale. Only then did the explosion of SHIELD, and the current SHIELD, to be honest, is doing well. After all, there are still many superpowers in this world. The existence of mutant is obviously not something that the FBI can deal with, so SHIELD can be regarded as an organization strongly supported by the White House. It's a pity that this time Hydra took away too much family property, which made Nick Fury a little bit stricken. His only aircraft carrier fleet was even directly stolen by Hydra and became their headquarters base. However, the aircraft carrier fleet has disappeared on the high seas. The aircraft carrier fleet with complete shielding equipment is difficult to find, even if Levi lets the sound wave scan with satellites. And Nick Fury, who lost a series of important forces, naturally put him mind on Levi. After all, who gave him an army of Cybertron, explosive or something? It really doesn't suit me. I feel like I'm going to be forced. That's all for today. The author will be more stable later. There are at least 4 updates every day. At most 5. Every chapter of the author is guaranteed full quality, so the update is really not going anywhere soon. But don't worry everyone, it must be as stable as an old dog. Please rest assured to subscribe. In addition, let me tell you about the daily update time: 1 to 2 in the morning, 11:20 and 8:10. This is the case for the time being, as the temperature adjusts. Chapter 77, Tesseract and the Book of Darkness. One more. Levi, SHIELD can be said to have 5 floods and 7 injuries this time. We really can't afford any chips, but I promise that once we successfully solve Hydra, I will make compensation. Nick Fury's gesture could already be described as pleading. In recent days, his life has not been good. Driven by his charisma and justice, his new SHIELD, or the organization renamed Cheyenne Bureau, still has many elites and backbones. But the problem is combat effectiveness. This is why Nick Fury changed its name to Cheyenne. What he has to do now is not to defend, but to attack. Strategic defense. No, what he wants is a strategic attack, an active attack like a sharp sword. However, he lacks fighting power. SHIELD used to focus on intelligence collection, although it had a commando team and a team of experts to develop new weapons for them. But now, that entire system has been taken away by Hydra. There are not many experts left in the headquarters. Now, apart from Mutant, the only ones he can take out are the Bucky that Levi lent him before, and his newly formed assault team. So, he wants to negotiate a deal with Levi. He wants to lease Shapa shifting King Kong. Nick, you have to know that Cybertron is a great civilization, far greater than the Earth. Their origins are extraordinary, and their appearance fee is naturally not low. I can indeed order them, but there is a price. I know that SHIELD, well, the Heavenly Sword game has not been easy recently, but that doesn't mean I'm going to lose money. Levi doesn't intend to let go. He really needs to pay the price. His points are not easy to get. In the past 3 months, he finally released Biochemical 2. This is his 4th film. In 1.5 years, he planned to have 3 movies a year, but since he just started, it took him some time to form a company, release comics, and release animations. In fact, Resident Evil 2 has only been released for a month, and the box office has already exceeded 100 million. That's 5 shifting King Kong. It's far, far better than Resident Evil, so naturally, Levi Marvel Entertainment line is buzzing. This kind of ability to make money, those venture capital companies have not yet broken their heads and want to get a piece of it. But unfortunately, Levi has no plans to go public, and he is not short of money. He can guarantee that he will make a steady profit from every movie. Under the circumstances, why do you need someone else to come in and divide the money? Others raise funds to share risks, or just go public and run away after making money. He doesn't have this idea, so naturally he doesn't need to go public for financing. And now, Nick Fury is asking him to spend his precious points in exchange for shifting Donkey Kong. And honestly, Levi would be reckless if he didn't kill him. Nick, you have chips. Very good chips. I remember there should be quite a few good things in Warehouse of Cheyenne game. I'm also interested in these things. Nick Fury stood up suddenly, but the angry look only flowed on his face for a moment, and then disappeared. He knew that he had no room for bargaining. What do you want, Cosmic Cube? This is impossible. Nick Fury's eyes widened. Since Howard Stark and Peggy Carter formed S.H.I.E.L.D., the universe has been the treasure of S.H.I.E.L.D., although it is a bit strange to say. However, S.H.I.E.L.D's many black technologies, including those weapons of Hydra, are almost all produced through the study of the Cosmic Cube. Although Nick Fury is not a scientist, he also knows that the Cosmic Cube is his biggest bargaining chip, and he cannot hand it over so easily. Unless the United States is about to perish in the next moment, and Levi is the only savior. Maybe in that case, Nick Fury will consider handing over the Cosmic Cube, asking for flowers, but just handing over your biggest treasure just to borrow troops. What a fool would do. Levi was not surprised by Nick Fury's answer, so he didn't struggle with this question. It's fine if you don't give it. How about it? It's not too much for me to study it? Don't worry, it's not me. I will send someone to go. Don't worry, I can't take it away from you. In addition, I have a list here. These things can be used in exchange. The price is clearly marked. For the same item, rent a Suburban Warrior. For every 5 items, I can add an extra one. Although S.H.I.E.L.D. is not an SCP Foundation, it also houses a large number of strange items or people, including ancient relics, special items unearthed from certain ruins, or big treasures left by aliens. Among these items, there are many that can create a superhero or a supervillain after use. It is very likely that a talisman, after being worn, has the power of several tigers and elephants. There are also some, such as the obelisk, that has been taken by Levi. Under specific rituals and operations, it can produce special reactions, making a certain person have a super ability, which is all possible. And Levi list is, as far as he knows, the good as in S.H.I.E.L.D's collection. The Cosmic Cube is naturally the most valuable thing among them. After all, it is the space gem and infinite gems, but there are no single performances that can be compared with it. For example, a Book of Darkness, together with Kamatage's Book of Vassandra, it becomes Black and White Shuangsha, Keek, Black and White Magic Book. We Shanti is the Book of White Magic, which records all defenses and magics including healing. Its power lies in that, as long as this magic is born, even if you just created it on the other side of the earth, it will be recorded immediately. The Book of Darkness, on the other hand, records all evil, destruction, and destruction of dark magic. 7th. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.